Hello, everyone, and welcome to our commentary of The Hulk from back in 2008.
Oh, sure.
Excuse me, Shiro, the
It's not the
Incredible
Hulk.
The Incredible.
Sure.
Oh, whatever.
Incredible.
You're missing both.
Shut up, it is totally different.
Actually, Shiroi, the Hulk is the 2003 film. What we're looking at is the Incredible Hulk made in 2008.
Long story short, the companies have to be sometimes very creative in changing the title of a pre-existing movie. Other times they tend to be very lazy. Case in point
Like
here.
the Suicide Squad.
Anyway, this is our second step in the MCU, technically. Yes, this is still technically canon, even though there's a lot of elements that were basically forgotten. And not only we drag back dweebs, unlike in Iron Man, but we actually have a guest here, a person who actually has reviewed a couple of MCU movies in the past. Please present yourself, good sir.
Hello, I'm Phelan Hearts, and you may know me from things.
We'll put a link on his channel in the description, so don't worry, you can reach him there and see all of his reviews that he has done so far.
Personally, I just know him as the genius behind SSMB Roleplay Masters.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Anyway, technical details. This was done in 2008. Jova, who are the directors? And
I know.
all right, go ahead, Leaves.
It's from director Louis Leterrier, who, since this film, has gone on to helm such masterpieces as Now You See Me and Grimsby.
Oh, but that's not all. Wait till you hear
explains a lot.
But that's not all. This was produced by Kevin Feige, Gail Ann Hurd, and abandoned ship himself, Avi Arad. Yep, Avi Arad thought, you know what? I'm sick of messing with Spider-Man. How about I mess with the Hulk?
So much.
Well, by the way,
It's all
fun
so many
fact.
toys.
I've got a fun fact for you. Avi Arad's also the reason we never got a 6th season of the 90s animated Spider-Man series. Yeah, that's another reason to dislike him. So, this movie. Bruce Banner apparently has plastic surgery again because now, instead of being played by David Bana, God, I'm going to miss him just for that name, Eric Bana, it's now played by Edward Norton, who was pretty good in Sausage Party, sucks in this.
Why did you put one of the protagonists of Fight Club as Dr. Banner?
What, was Helena Bonham Carter too busy? All right,
Anyway,
then.
start before the Universal logo.
All
All right,
right.
Shira, take us away.
All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
I gotta say, guys,
I'm
it's
sorry.
been. I gotta say, guys, the MCU has come quite a way, seeing as how, as of the time of this recording, Endgame is finally out. And yet, looking back at where it started, man, the MCU was actually a bit of a mess in Phase 1. Iron Man was owned by Paramount.
It wasn't even the MCU.
Well, it sort of was, as you'll see, but basically, Iron Man was owned by Paramount, and this was owned by Universal, yet this was also a
Like,
sequel to
everything was
Iron Man,
Paramount's
but it was
list.
also a sequel to Hulk 2003. Sort of.
Was it a sequel to 2003? I don't think so.
It teases, but it's more like a winking to the audience than stating outright that it's
while
canon.
while the credits are going on, is a little bit interesting tidbit. The credits give full credit to the film's script to Zach Penn, but curious decision on the part of Edward Norton. He decided, you know what, I want to be a writer, so he decided to rewrite the script, but he had no writing credits.
Which he probably got to do thanks to one of the producers on board.
For those who don't know, Edward Norton is regarded as an actor who's hard to work with because he's kind of a prima donna. And of course, in later years, when talking about this film, of course, he was, I was trying to make this movie into an amazing, complex movie and shit, but people just didn't understand.
Oh, you mean just like how Ang Lee tried to make an incredible movie out of the Hulk, Mr. Norton?
That's kind of the thing. Comparing this movie to the 2003 one, Jova, I see these two movies as polar opposites in a way, because whereas the first movie, the 2003 one, I mean, was trying way too hard to be so deep and meaningful. This one
It was very introspective.
This one is the exact opposite. It was way too dumb and way too mindless for its own good.
Oh, hey, it's the guy from Lost in Space.
Yeah, we have William Hurt playing General Ross. Interesting casting choice, because the dull tone of William Hurt usually doesn't apply to someone who screams all the time like General Ross.
Not gonna lie, if there's one thing I
He's got a
prefer
part
from
in
the
another
original...
movie.
If there's
True.
one thing I prefer from the original Hulk movie, it was Sam Elliott as Thunderbolt Ross. That was awesome casting!
Also, there's also the fact that the origin story has been basically skimmed over almost entirely in the credit sequence.
Yes,
Oh,
I can
hey,
see why
Stark
it's confused that,
Industries,
like, this could be a
continuity,
sequel to
guys.
Oh,
2003.
Stark Industries. Yes, Raiden?
Like I can see why this would be like confused as sometimes maybe a sequel to
Yeah.
Hulk 2003. It's kind of similar to how, Spider-Man Homecoming, they gloss over the entire backstory because you've seen it so many times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming at least had the advantage that it was
Screenplay
made
by Zach
back when the
Penn.
MCU was
I would
definitely
argue-
way more well-versed. Whereas this was
Yeah,
made
this
back
is
when
the
the
second one.
MCU was... Yeah, not really that
It
much
was
a
also
thing.
a time where Hulk wasn't still that well known to the general public.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's not-
Fair enough.
also Jova. You know who else I prefer personally
158.
from the 2003 film compared to this one?
The one who played
What?
Betty Ross.
Yes.
Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
The problem with Jennifer, okay, Jennifer Connelly's Hulk from the not Hulk, sorry, Betty,
Betty.
Betty.
Betty?
Betty from the 2003 film was a bit dull. Like what Pedro says are the problems of this film compared to the other one. The problem with the Betty of this film, I think, is that she always talks in this really high-pitched voice, and that doesn't get annoying
Yeah.
at all, does it?
Well,
When
if
I
it's any
think of
consolation,
Betty
Twix.
Ross, I don't think of Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's basically how I classify this movie. It's like they literally took the 2003 movie. Okay, let's do the exact opposite in literally every aspect of the.
So,
The
yeah.
problem is that a Hulk
Also
movie
don't
should. A Hulk movie needs a middle ground between these two movies. Like
So,
that's
yeah.
the problem.
And
Oh,
no way
wait,
Universal's gonna let that
guys.
happen again.
Guys. I got
Compact
just the Hulk
Portuguese.
movie. Oh, God.
Well, we are in Brazil.
Also, to further confuse the viewer, we start with Dr. Banner in South America.
Brazil.
Kind of precisely where the last movie, the 2003 movie ended.
Oh,
Oh, can
hey,
we wa-
Sesame
can we-
Street.
Can we watch Sesame Street instead?
No.
I could just imagine, actually, the Incredible Hulk crossing over with Sesame Street.
How would that
Don't-
even
Oh, yeah,
work?
you're
Don't
Right.
lie, there's...
If only Disney could buy the rest of Jim Henson, then we
All
could
right.
get this happening.
Hold on, yes, Pedro?
All right, Shiroi.
Yes.
Oh.
Here's a little bit of history for you. The Incredible Hulk was created by suspense Stan Lee.
And
he
Jack
was drawn-
Kirby.
and he
Gee,
was
I
drawn-
had no
I was-
idea.
I was about to get to that. He was drawn by Jack Kirby, but it was Stan Lee who had the original idea. Basically, Lee was a big fan of two movies: Boris Karloff's Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One of the things that was very interesting
That makes
to
a
him.
lot of sense.
One of the things that oh god, the order.
Do we really need to see this?
See, okay, Shiro, you're probably familiar with the fact that whenever Bruce Banner gets angry, he turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
In here, they decide to make. Oh, it actually has to do with his heartbeat. I get that heartbeat is related to emotionally anger. I get that, but still, like, I don't understand why they have to intentionally go out of their way to not make it about anger. But whatever.
Is
Moving
it also
on.
his heart rate
Stress.
or something? Or...
Stress, basically.
To continue, basically, Shiroi, one of Stan Lee's big things about Frankenstein is like it seemed to him that the monster was never really the bad guy. It was just that the morons with pitchforks were always chasing him and making him angry.
Well, that's actually how the story plays out. So
yeah.
that's
So
the
yeah.
story.
so Stan Lee thought he would combine both Jekyll and Hyde and Frankenstein.
Oh, and the werewolf, too.
Yeah,
Because at some point, well, remember, Paige, was that phase where they actually made it about the full moon.
True.
Golden Age of
well,
Comics
The
were
Incredible
weird.
Werewolf.
Well, I'm paraphrasing what Stan Lee actually said. I don't know. He never mentioned the werewolf in his.
Linkara
relating
mentioned
stuff.
it in
beverage
his
are they
Hulk
producing?
review.
Well, that's Linkara, though. I usually try to stick to the actual words of Stan himself.
Well, I mean, it has to do with the bout of what actually happened in the
Also,
comics at some
Halt,
point.
the colleague at the
I guess.
factory, I guess.
Yeah, don't worry about her. She won't really
Nothing
matter
in the
much in the
comics?
plot.
Here's a little bit
Oh,
of trivia
yes,
for you
Fallon?
as well.
Great security will work.
Anyway,
Go ahead, Pedro, go ahead.
Oh.
Here's a little bit of trivia for you, Shiroi. Originally, the Hulk was not supposed to be green. He was supposed to be gray. So
Yeah, and then
why?
came out and fixed it.
So why is he
That's
not gray?
already
You
never
ask.
fail.
That's because Shiroi, believe it or not, back in the '60s, it was hard for the printer to keep the color consistent in the comics. You know, because remember at the time, it was always drawn and colored by hand. And while they were printing everything into various copies, it was hard to keep the gray color consistent. So Stan Lee literally said, "Okay, let's think. What other color is other superhero out there using right now? Green. No one's using green that I know of. So okay, let's just call him green.
Whoops.
It was as casual as that.
Turns out Bruce Banner was a bit of a klutz and got himself cut. And yeah, apparently.
Oh, that CG is bad. The CG in the blood.
So
Yeah.
Here's my question, Bruce. So you know your blood is, I won't say radioactive because that's for another superhero, but your blood is very bad. Why would you work in an industry where you work around a lot of liquids that people will ingest?
Oh, early.
Bruce Banner becomes a surgeon.
It usually was. It usually was like that. It was the Marvel's golden duo. Stan would come up with the stories and characters, and Jack Kirby would do the drawings and art, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's interesting you say that he wasn't really known to the general public around this time, because I've always seen him as one of the more popular.
Yeah, he had cartoons and everything.
Yeah. I'd say. Oh, how did he miss that? So you notice the spots
or
there.
anyone else for that matter.
Oh, well, while this is going on,
Okay, seriously,
Kind of a bit of a plot hole.
what is this? Wine? No, it's not wine. It's like grape juice.
It's
yeah, some weird form.
Oh no, I think it's papaya. No, mango or something.
It's.
Oh well, I got a bit else.
No,
as
it's
well.
Hulk juice.
Go ahead, Dweebs.
Well, two things actually, just according to TV tropes. One, Liv Tyler apparently accepted the role without reading the script.
Oh, this reminds me of the Phantom Menace. And what happened with like Liam Neeson? He didn't read the script and just accepted Qui-Gon because it was like, hey, it's Star Wars.
Go figure.
That's what I've heard.
Possibly go wrong.
And also after this film came out, well, I don't know exactly how far into the future Edward Norton said after this film came out, but apparently here's what Edward Norton said about the movie, and I quote: I did a big action movie called The Incredible Hulk. You know what went wrong? It needed a better script. I thought maybe we should try to make one Marvel movie that was at least as good as the worst Chris Nolan movie, but what the hell do I know? Edward, not for nothing, but you
wrote this thing.
And now no one remembers you for it.
Oh.
criticizing himself.
Oh, by the way, this movie.
Ed Norton's a dick. That's
By the way,
basic
this
gist of it.
movie did
Yes,
so
Joe.
badly that this is Marvel's first and only flop. It basically cost $150 million to make, and it grossed only $263 million. Now we're close to double.
Well, it deserved to flop, if you ask me. So, whatever.
It's like I've seen this movie like a while back. I still don't remember much of it, and I guess that's a testament to its script.
Yeah, like it's one of those things. Like obviously, the audience, everybody nowadays remembers Hulk being portrayed by Mark Ruffalo. That's because after this guy was incredibly hard to work with, Kevin Feige decided, you know what? Okay, if you're gonna be like this, then screw you. We'll hire another guy.
Oh, even better.
Yeah,
Pedro.
Mark Ruffalo.
Even better, Pedro. In
Yes,
addition to rewriting the script, whenever Louis Leterrier was busy doing second unit stuff, Norton actually directed himself in some of the scenes.
So basically, this is all your fault.
Maybe not all his
only
fault.
Maybe not all his fault, but most of this is your fault.
Like, too much of it is his
As
fault.
if, is that a drug?
Basically, Bruce Banner has
Ooh, truffula trees.
however old technology he's having on that computer. I mean, I guess Brazil's behind on this in tech now. Nope, I'm not buying it. Whatever. He's having a web chat with this Mr. Blue guy who calls himself
Blue
Mr.
sky,
Green.
please
Another thing about Edward Norton is that I find him really miscast in this role because he's supposed to be a nerdy scientist. He doesn't come across like that at all. He's a pretty boy. Is a pretty boy pretending to be a nerd.
Again, you've casted the major protagonist of Fight Club as a nerdy scientist. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's like the
I haven't
main.
seen Fight Club.
Well, that's entirely the point, Dweebs.
It's an adventure movie. That's all you need to know.
The entire point is that Edward Norton in that movie is someone who beats the shit out of people.
Basically, just to sum it up, Fight Club is basically what started the trend of Helena Bonham Carter playing weird, dark women in films.
Anyway,
all of it failed.
All of it.
And it's time to meet. Oh boy!
No, this isn't part of the script. It said with this Edward Norton talking about how the film.
So
Send your resume.
let me see what I can get from this movie so far. The characters are a reboot. The plot is a sequel, but the backstory is a remake.
Oh, while being part of the MCU.
Confused yet? It
how
gets
on
worse.
I want to make a Hulk movie. We'll make all the Hulk movies.
How on earth did this mutant aberration of a film get made?
Oh, well, I have a very good way to answer that. It got made as basically Universal, originally partnering up with Paramount Pictures. This was kind of before Disney fully entered the picture. Disney were more behind the scenes at the time. Basically, at the time, Paramount and Universal wanted to actually work together to make their own connected universe.
Well, it's not the first
this is the
time.
Superman Return. Oh, hey, Stan. Hey,
Hi,
Stan.
Hello.
Okay, out of all the Stanley...
Stan drank the Hulk juices.
Wow, it tastes so bad. God, they really can't get a Hulk movie right,
Stan
can they?
died.
Put him in a Thor movie.
Also, was that a Lockjaw statue behind?
I think
shot.
so.
Well, I'll give William Hurt a bit of credit. He's more. Well,
He's got better over the years.
Into it. He's more into it than he was in, say.
I love you, wife.
Lost in Space. Yeah.
Yeah, that. I mean, to be fair,
Well, yeah.
after a movie and performance like that, you first
There's
have
no
to do
way-
AI, and then you can go nowhere but up.
Yeah.
Still, though, what a weird choice, though. Like, again, like you said, William Hurt's never really that kind of actor, but whatevs. The military is adding
Why
on a
does the
Russian,
cinematography
Born in Russia, raised. Oh, hi, Tim Roth.
so basically...
cinematography of the military scene. It just reminds me of like Transformers 1.
Yeah,
with, like,
was this
with,
guest,
like, the-
with guest
with, like,
director
the
Michael Bay,
sunset and the
apparently.
glare.
Hey,
Yeah.
look! Hey, look,
Ian is
Dwibs!
during the magic hour.
Hey, look, Dwibs! It's the so not evil president of FIFA.
I'll remember Phalion. The running gag with Michael Bay is that all of his movies take place in the Planet Magic Hour.
Yeah. Also, in reference to what basically, for those who don't know and for those who haven't watched our commentary of United Passions, Tim Roth, at least in our minds, his most infamous role was playing the oh-so-clean FIFA president Sepp Blatter in United Passions.
Didn't he go on to say that he intentionally played that role as evilly as possible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, hey, how that got past FIFA, who funded that movie, bear in mind, I have no idea.
Guess FIFA were thinking it was going to bring in the money, but
think
it
they
brought
reveled in
something
it,
way different.
Also, one person that you will not see in this movie, but was in the previous one, and it's another major antagonistic character of the Hulk, is Glenn Talbot, one of the major officers of military, and usually Thunderbolt Ross second in command. But don't worry, he's in the MCU, just not in the way that you expect.
What, is he dusted?
No. Basically, he's a supporting character in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I was right. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, that's
I was
right!
joking.
Hold it, and then they turned it into Graviton for some reason.
I don't
I have
remember
no
the
idea
Graviton
why,
part.
because
Was that in
they
season
actually...
6?
Here's the problem. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually had Dr. Franklin Hall, the character who becomes normally Graviton in the comics. But instead they changed the character who becomes Graviton for some reason.
Oh,
And for the record, Talbot never becomes like a super villain or has bizarre powers. He remains a stereotypical dickish military guy.
Yeah, that movie wasn't very good, Edward. Don't bother watching it.
so,
Home,
off in a nice...
DreamWorks Home, I mean.
So, we are in the very nice city of Portugal, Brazil.
Yes, I probably shouldn't.
No, it's not a bad movie. It's just a very mediocre, by-the-numbers kids movie. Like it's literally
just kid pandering stuff. Get all the memes. Get all the funny talk.
With
Make sure it had as much motion in it as possible.
well, it does try to have a more heartfelt
I
story.
said like
the
motion,
dog.
not emotion. You gotta have a character always like moving to get attention of the kids.
You were saying, Java?
So here we are, of course, in the ever so gracious land of Portugal, Brazil.
Well, specifically the favelas,
They're
for
the
those
same
who don't
thing,
know,
Emma, come
the
on.
poor people's quarters.
Brazil. Okay, let me put it like this.
You're
Phelan,
in my
in
way,
case-
sir.
Oh,
me put
look
it
at
like
that.
thi-
They are so bad that...
the impervious SWAT team thwarted by a dog.
let me put it like this,
The
Phelan.
Incredible Doge.
Let me put it like this, Phelan, in case you're not aware. Brazil is to Portugal what the U.S. is to England, basically. That's all you need to know in terms of.
I think they're the US to Canada.
Worse.
Well, remember, Shiroi, the U.S. was once, the U.S. once belonged to England, and then we had the whole thing. And
Whoa,
No,
whoa,
not the
whoa.
doggo.
You know Tim
Oh, this
Roth's
chicken
character is
dog?
such a dick because he killed the dog. And
Oh,
we
poor
needed
guy.
that scene of that woman in the shower. Oh,
Really?
yeah,
You
that's
don't
right.
You don't see the long dangling. Oh, you do actually. Or do you?
No, well, I think they were tranquilizers, so it should be fine.
Yeah, just leave the doggo alone, yeah?
Or else Peter would be on Feige's butt.
Yeah, I think
Perfect. No one will recognize you.
I get the feeling that maybe this was the film.
It was Billy Batson.
Well, because of how badly this film did at the box office,
Oopsie.
I'm guessing this was the film that
Failure.
that kind of that ensured that MCU films in the future would stick to strictly one studio at one studio. Well, Paramount up until the Avengers and Disney after that. They've only just recently, relatively speaking, did the whole agreement with Sony.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at least the music's decent.
Who's the composer, by the way?
I like the theme.
The composer is Craig Armstrong.
Where have I heard that name
That
before?
name sounds familiar.
Oh, he's Scottish.
Yeah, I mean, I only know two non-British Armstrongs, an astronaut and a bike chief.
So that means he's from the Gala region, then.
Well, yeah. Was it Armstrong or am I getting?
Let's see.
Anyway, his other scores.
Oh, Jesus!
His other film scores include Romeo plus Juliet, Love Actually, Oliver Stone's World Trade Center, and Elizabeth the Golden Age.
I don't remember any of those, so I don't know how I know his name.
Ed Webbs.
You're better off not knowing.
You know how when it comes to reviews of superhero, and I mean any superhero movie, any of them, regardless of which one it is, regardless of how
by
good
the
or
way,
bad
guys,
it is.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
I really get the feeling I need to drink some Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
all
I
of a
thought
sudden.
there was something that could quench my thirst.
Anyway, you were saying, Pedro?
I'm fine with product placement as long as it's in the background and the.
It's not the character turning to the camera and saying,
What are you
"Hey, look
talking
at
about?
that!"
The Krispy Kreme thing?
Like
in
going
the
all
bar
full
in the movie
Wayne's
was
World?
amazing.
I don't know.
You were saying about reviews, Pedro?
You know how there's always, again, regardless of which superhero movie, regardless of which one it is, how good or bad it is, there's always, of course, a generic guy reviewing the movie as in, whatever plot is supposed to have, it always gets lost in the midst of all the CGI action scenes. There's always a guy who always reviews every superhero movie like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is the movie they're describing. This one.
What are you talking about,
movie-
Pedro? I don't
this
see any
movie
CGI
CGI.
overtones
Yeah,
yet.
this chase scene is still going.
I saw this movie.
What I mean, Job, is
Is
that
this a long commentary routine?
what I mean, Job, is that there's way too much chase and action and not enough actual story and character
Oh
development.
no.
Hey,
saw
what
this
the
movie,
hell, man? You're stupid or very stupid?
I saw this movie a couple. I saw
Yes,
this movie. I saw this movie on Blu-ray a couple of years ago, and the only things that I remember are like certain locations. Like I remember a campus. I remember New York.
What I remember is when the Hulk just kicked like the bad guy into a tree.
Oh, yeah, in case you're wondering, most of the the scenes that Edward Norton directed were mostly the ones at the campus. In case you're wondering,
This movie's very forgettable. The one thing from this movie that stuck around in the MCU is William Hurt's General Ross. Really,
of all people.
In Civil War.
everything else was pretty much forgotten, and I can blame
Did the
them.
Russos
Really.
say like Betty got snapped?
Yes, they did.
Well,
Not that
I'm gonna miss this version.
Well, Phelan, I don't remember how much are you into the comics in general, but if you don't remember, Betty at some point becomes the Red She-Hulk. Can you imagine Liv Tyler for the role? Because I can't.
I can't imagine Liv Tyler in any role beyond what she was in this because she is that bad. But we'll get to her eventually.
When Pedro
I
started
can't imagine
showing
her
me
as a
the
whole. Seeing her
MCU, we
get
actually
angry
skipped
for
this
once.
one.
Oh,
yes,
that's
you're
right.
I don't think I've seen Liv Tyler in anything else. Was just.
She wrote. General Ross is an angry general. That's literally all you need for context of the larger MCU when it comes to this film.
So
Surprisingly,
he's General Cross. Then.
actually, surprisingly, Pedro, not so much
General
in.
Cross.
Surprisingly, Pedro, General Ross doesn't play the typical angry general in this one, which is kind of heresy. No, in
Okay,
this one,
fine.
General.
He's out of
He's not like super
character.
yelly. Not from what I remember.
Yeah, basically, in this one, General Ross is surprisingly sinister, actually, which is a bit out of character, but
Which
I'll
is-
get more into that later. For now, though, let's finally,
weird,
and I mean
considering General Ross-
finally, get our Hulk out.
Yeah, 23 minutes
Oh,
in,
it's bit time.
Well, at least it's a shorter time than the Ang Lee film.
I guess.
Oh,
Or maybe not.
Is it? I don't know.
I think the problem is that this movie. I would argue that this movie is
Oh, here
also
we go.
boring. I would argue that this movie is also boring. It's just for different reasons. Just because
Well,
you're
I
throwing
can see
action,
why. Yeah.
just because you're throwing action in front of me, that does not automatically make it exciting.
You know,
Oh,
this
he's
type
dead.
of scene. This type of
well,
scene
it ain't
really
Barney
feels.
the purple dinosaur.
This type of scene feels really like a waste because I could actually see the Hulk, a movie about the Hulk, as a horror movie, played more in suspense with different lights and shadows, and the Hulk being this stalking beast that hunts down the military, kind of like Alien when you think about it.
Yeah,
But
this really gives me that sort
always-
of vibe.
But the problem is that the classic imagery of the Hulk is him demolishing a building right in the open or jumping up in the desert. So obviously we're never gonna get that.
But yeah, I actually have to agree with Shuri here. The Hulk actually was well known around the time of this movie, which may be part of the reason why we don't get that horror theme take. See, the Hulk actually used to be something that was a bit more subtle in that, during the Bill Bixby eras. But, as more modern stuff came about, the Hulk became much more larger scale, which I guess is why we have more of this rather than the horror theme. Also, it starts up the factory, because,
Oh no! What about
okay,
the
search me,
beverages?
anyone. What does this have to do with anything starting the factory up?
It
I
makes
don't
things
know.
exciting. If the factory had a
Makes
bunch
you thirsty, so then you can go to the concession stand and get more overpriced Coke.
I thought seeing
Show
liquids
Coke.
just made people have to go to the bathroom for intermission time, but maybe I'm thinking of it wrong.
Don't remind me about bathrooms. I'm already preparing myself for Endgame.
Oh god, yeah.
It's an interesting thing, Phelan. Exactly 24 hours ago, as at the time that we're recording this right now, I was sitting down on my seat to watch Endgame, and I kind of wish I was watching that movie right now.
Well, no duh. Look, guys. I'm gonna
Oh,
use my
shit.
ultra psychic powers to guess that Endgame is better than the movie we're currently watching.
No.
Also,
Anything is
any,
better than the current movie we're already watching.
Apparently, when Louis Leterrier was directing this film, apparently he directed 4 units of a broken foot.
Wow.
Why? Also, green, get it? Because the Hulk is green. In
How
know,
he broke that
Okay.
foot, I don't know.
For as annoying as product placement can get, why not just do the obvious thing and make it Mountain Dew?
Or 7-Up.
No, that was 2003. That was 2000. That was Ang Lee's Hulk. That was Mountain Dew. It was like a
Imagine.
Mountain
Oh
Dew
yeah, that was.
Xbox.
Imagine
Hulk on it.
the Incredible Hulk versus Cool Spot.
Well, Cool Spot
But
was
that would be if
dead
it
at
was
this
played in the
time.
90s.
Hello.
Also, that'd be fun.
I also don't really like the look of the Hulk in this movie.
Yeah, it's very veiny. It's
the
like I can see what they're
stubble
going
that
for.
doesn't fit.
It's the face. It looks
Let me
so
put it like
derpy.
this. Let me put it-
The Hulk has always been perfectly kind of clean as a design. Of course, it looks a bit uncanny with the body, but it's the typical Jack Kirby's alien kind of like design that he does with creatures like Benjamin Green, for example, as the
Like,
thing.
I'm not
So-
horrified by it. Like it's pretty good. Obviously, it's got nothing on like Ruffalo Hulk, but hey, it's fine.
Let me put it like this.
But the problem with this Green Hulk mostly is the stubble, this unshaved beard that he has for some reason.
To be fair, old Hulk looks awesome, but this
You
is
mean
not quite-
Maestro?
Well, I'm talking about old Hulk from stuff like Hulk at
Old
World's
Man
End.
Logan? I don't remember if Old Man Logan, the version of Hulk, had a beard.
I was talking about Hulk at World's End, but I guess that too. My point being is like, well, this Hulk isn't necessarily terrible. It's just this Hulk embodies a lot of what was wrong with the 90s. Not realizing that the 90s have gone by. The constant scowl, the lack of any emotion other than scowling here and there. Like, it's weird.
The rad Hulk, the edgy Hulk.
Pretty much.
I would argue that's more like the mid 2000s comic book movies more than the 90s. But
let's pull up Daredevil, guys.
Superhero movies in the 90s were more superhero movies in the 90s were more corny than anything.
Yeah, it depends.
He tried to kill me with a forklift.
Yeah.
Oh, guys.
Mr. President.
Maybe.
Thanks.
So, guys, will Tim Roth be the good guy or the bad guy? Let me see.
I wonder.
I don't know. I think he's trying to become Sylvester Stallone. I don't know.
Oh my God, he is.
I'm seeing Stallone's face. I don't know if it's the lighting.
I kind of wish we.
It's funny because Stallone will later be in the MCU.
Yeah, Guardians 2.
Yep.
Okay,
now here's one of my issues with Thunderbolt Ross's take in this movie. He's portrayed as more sinister, a guy who wants to, I kid you not, dissect the Hulk. Never mind the fact that Thunderbolt Ross hates the Hulk because it's the usual Marvel citizenship of fear everything that's different. Well, to be fair, the Hulk is pretty dangerous.
Ross is one of the cases where the Marvel power
I want that wall-collar Spider-Man. I want to dissect his guts.
why not just have him be General Riker instead of General Ross?
I know, right? General
Because
Riker makes so much sense.
The problem is that Ross is too iconic for them to drop it like that.
It's okay. It's okay, Phelan. If you want a true sequel to the 2003 movie, play the video game. The video game actually went for a sequel.
Yeah,
plot.
I heard.
Also, funnily enough, you know who Louis Leterrier's first choice to play Bruce Banner was in this film before he cast Edward Norton?
Jared
Mark
Leto.
Ruffalo.
It was a good shot.
Oh, the irony.
So Mark Ruffalo was the backup. Well, at least they had a backup plan.
Days Without Incident. Aw, now
0,
just
1.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. Also,
But anyway,
funny thing you mentioned that, Jova. On your versions, I'm guessing it's the part of the graphics part of the film. On the Netflix version, they're just Netflix subtitles.
All right, folks. I hope you like road
Well,
trip. Okay, folks. I hope you like road trip films because that's pretty much what this movie's gonna be.
Well, it makes sense to us because remember the graphics parts were made for theaters.
What do you mean you can't speak Portuguese? Aren't you speaking to him in Portuguese?
Yeah, aren't you supposed to be Brazilian?
Oh,
It's Guatemala.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
But you see,
Spanish.
it's the same thing. Come
Still
on.
though,
They're all the same.
Still though, how did he respond in that
You
though?
uncultured swines.
So let me consider he studied Portuguese enough just to know how to say I can't speak Portuguese, and he somehow knew that he was speaking in Portuguese.
It's the mi no habla español equivalent.
Maybe it's a common phrase on TV.
I really don't know Spanish, but that's the line that I would use. But anyway, what I was saying before was General Ross is one of the cases where the Muggle power trope usually don't pisses me off as much as it should be. Mostly because one is mostly relegated to him, like he's really obsessive. So you have a case of one in universe it's treated like it's a bad thing. In fact, the fact that he's super obsessed in automizing the Hulk and everything weird shit that happens, especially in the Ultimate Universe. And two. Yeah, he's not completely wrong because the thing that he's obsessed with is something that he fears can put the danger. He's not racist in itself. He is afraid of uncontrolled power, which is what he fears the Hulk would bring.
Not
The
to
problem is
mention
that
that
in this
time-
movie, they completely threw that shit away because why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, which is real. Okay, how do you script Thunderbolt Ross? He's one of the easiest characters to get. That's like
Can you
scripting
Really?
feel, guys, can you feel the excitement of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He's literally the generic, gun-ho commander archetype. It's the easiest archetype to get right. Like,
And yet they decided, I guess that's not sophisticated enough. Yeah, that's a thing with some movies. I get that they were trying to get people to take themselves seriously, but there was a time when they overdid it with trying to be taken seriously.
remember, Jova, as Dweb just
Oh,
told us that.
ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha! Chortle, chortle, chortle,
Fat
chuckle, chuckle,
joke.
chuckle.
Wow, that's
Yes, Pedro?
That joke is funny. Anyway, remember, Jova, like Dweb just told us, all this over-seriousness thing, that's Edward Norton. You have to thank him for it. Like,
Also, Tio, perfecto!
That's actually Portuguese. The Italian word will remove
Yeah.
the C with an extra T.
I know.
But yeah, like
And Lord of the Rings shot.
Remember,
New Zealand now. Wow, Hulk's just going everywhere.
Remember,
This-
Jova, ever since the early 2000s, people started loving more and more renting helicopters just to do a couple of aerial shots, just so they could pad out the movie in case we had extra time. Like Daredevil 2003 is chock full of those.
yeah. It's
I'll give Daredevil
anyway,
2003 credit. It made sense given the setting.
I love how,
Yes, Pedro.
I love how in the subtitles it said Ross said World War II, but in the subtitles it has WW and two I's, as in
The
two.
Roma, the
World War
double
II,
double
yeah.
Roma.
Wee.
Yeah,
You
I
would
know,
like
right? I was
to
about to say that too.
Speaking of coincidentally timing, by the time of this recording, Dark Lord Shadow actually put up a review of a video game based on this movie, the Wii version, I mean, and it's terrible.
You know,
was around
The Incredible
I'm so
World War II.
surprised.
It was around the time Marvel video games were published by Sega, and barely any of them was actually worth it.
so who are the
Yeah.
developers?
The guys. Oh, you're gonna love this, Jova. They're the guys who ruined the Transformers game with Rise of the Darkspark.
Wait. Oh
Don't
no,
remind
Edge of
me.
Reality?
I think so. Yeah. Let me check
God
quickly.
dang it.
In the meantime, I imagine that Disney remake of The Lion King is going to be comprised of, like, 80% of that movie will be comprised entirely of shots with the helicopters.
So,
Yeah.
so Fallon, as a fellow Transformers fan, I guess-
if it's just helicopters in The Lion King, will just be like the one scene in Cars where everyone's in like the drive-in theater.
Well,
Oh,
to be
my
fair,
goodness.
there were the opening of Lion King, the original. I mean, had a lot of tall shots, so it makes sense to have them in the remake. If you
So,
ask me.
Fallon, as a fellow Transformers fan, I'm guessing you also mourn the death of the Cybertron series at the hands of Rise of the Darkspark.
Every day, I think about what could have been. And now I'm hearing, anytime I hear someone say the War for Cybertron trilogy, I need to take a double take and realize, oh yeah, they're talking about the new Toyland.
Yep.
Yeah,
Netflix
but like,
show, okay, Netflix show, I guess I'll take
Yes.
it, it's the closest I'll get.
but yeah, Dwebs. The usual way these things work is that they make a movie for theaters with the graphics up, text and stuff. But when it comes to international theater
I don't
releases,
care about the days without incidents.
Yeah, I gotta talk about this. This
Also-
whole Days Without Incident
Also,
thing is
just to
so...
let you know, 17 is the equivalent
But
of the 13 number in America
but,
here.
but don't you see? But don't you see, Jova? This is clearly a clever reference to Action Comics #1, where we have a weird clocks counting down whatever the hell it was that never.
This is a
happened.
reference to 2319.
Yes. A reference to the golden age of comics where things could be pretty ludicrous, though not as ludicrous as the Silver Age. Now, why is he going to this place with cherry blossoms in the background? Well, maybe the movie will get to it. Like, are all these shots really... Oh, wait.
At least it's good for spring.
Yeah, like, seeing this for the second time around, I'm just realizing just how much padding there is.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, hey! Oh, yes.
remember,
Let's
these-
see
most of
Dr.
these-
Quinn.
Most of these scenes are the ones.
I
in
want
the
to see
campus.
Lester Richards in
These were the-
neurobiology.
Most of the scenes around here, the ones in the campus, these are the ones that Edward Norton directed.
Aw, isn't that so
That
charming,
explains
guys? He stalks his
Oh.
girlfriend,
Look at the blurry
ex-fiance,
shots, and
whatever.
look at the
Shall I,
handheld camera.
Yes,
Can I get
Libs,
my- shall I get my earplugs ready?
great.
Okay.
It's
Like, is there significance as to why it's being shot two different ways? One is when it's focusing on Betty, the camera sometimes gets a little shaky, almost like it's somewhat handheld, and it's
because
really
we have a guy.
steady.
Because we have a guy who's not a director directing for some reason.
now, folks,
Yeah, I guess, but like, it just doesn't make sense.
let's say the obvious thing that everybody knows. Yes, Liv Tyler is one of those actors who is basically recommended because she's the daughter of a famous singer. We all know that.
We didn't even get a vocal song. Marvel doesn't give us vocal songs.
Can you
We
imagine?
can
Well,
hire
hey,
someone to take advantage of it.
Found I'll have you know that Alan Menken wrote us a very good vocal song in Captain America First Avenger.
yeah, and I love
I know,
it.
I know it did some. I know there were some like that. There was like Live to Rise made for the Avengers. It's just that
Oh,
we got, of
mamma
course, we got like
mia.
all the stars for Black Panther, but it's just most of the time we
Hey,
don't get a
look
vocal.
at the sign. Hey.
Italian restaurant.
They even have the stereotypical fucking table thing with the square red and white squares.
Hello,
Like-
Italian guy who... Are we supposed to know this guy? Yeah, that's the thing about this
No, I
movie.
don't think
It's
so.
me, Mario.
You know,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
Me,
you,
Stanley.
you know...
Here's another thing
Yeah,
that you
that's
will
actually a
not
good
see in
point.
this movie. Rick Jones, but because I'm guessing they didn't knew how to implement him with a story like this.
Why do these movies hate Rick Jones? He's sometimes
The
the
video
best
game
thing
actually
about
has
Hulk
it. Basically, with Rick Jones is supposedly Hulk's Banner's personal sidekick, in a sense that he doesn't have powers of his own. At least he did, and until recently, fucking Marvel. But he specialized in helping out superheroes in relatively mundane stuff like contacting them each other, having them improving
Oh,
the
wait,
relationship,
hold
and
on, I
everything,
gotta say this.
organizing events.
Ahem. Hey guys!
It's pizza time.
Dang it! I was about to
Hi,
make that
Lee Ferrigno.
joke.
Hi,
Oh, hey, Lee
Lee
Ferrigno. Okay, gotta admit that's a pretty that's a pretty neat cameo. And hey, at least Lou
Is he the
Ferrigno
voice
would
of the Hulk in this movie?
sadly no.
I believe he's the voice of the Hulk.
Yeah, he does. Ferrigno also voices the Hulk in the movie. Yeah.
Oh, he
Yeah,
does.
'cause, like,
Never
the
mind.
Hulk smash
Keen, yeah.
That's
came
like
Oh,
the
that's
one,
right, yeah.
That's like the one good decision this movie made creatively. I mean,
Ah, Lou, you're always a treasure.
There's actually like quite a bit of references to the classic Hulk. I don't know.
let me explain this for sure.
That said, though, I have to voice a bit of a complaint here. So, security
Yeah.
guard, you love the pizza so much, yet you're really gonna let a guy get in just because of the pizza?
Basically, Shuri, during the 70s, whenever Bruce turned into the Hulk, he was played by Lou Ferrigno because he was a
Bodybuilder.
He had the physique.
Oh yeah, here's another thing to make it confusing. Even though this movie tried to pass it off originally as a sequel to the original, they also
Jesus.
changed what happened in the first bit, where instead he was actually testing the gamma radiation on himself.
Now, I would
Again,
give this
like
one
I said,
credit.
Joe,
I will give this one credit to the movie. It has a better presentation than the 2003 one, but it's not saying much at all because the 2003 one has
Time, baby.
one of the worst presentations I've ever seen in a movie,
Sure.
and that's spoken as a comic.
But we got exploding frogs. We got exploding frogs
Oh.
in 2003 that made up for everything.
And I
Jesus
hated
Christ,
that. By the
yes,
way,
Pedro?
Joe, it's like I said, the plot is a sequel, the characters are a reboot, and yet the backstory is a remake.
But now part of
somehow.
It's
But here's
so
the thing, Pedro. Now, a part of the plot is a sequel, but also partly a reboot. Some of the characters are part sequel, part reboot, and now where
Can
we
we
go
just
from
make
here is a
diagram
mystery.
of this?
Oh my god, I just got it, Jova. I just got it.
What, they're
This is
trying
a
to
mo-
simulate how to do a comic book?
No, this is a Frankenstein monster of a movie, just like the Hulk.
Oh my god!
So
we figured it
immersive.
out!
Oh,
Also, I gotta say, everyone really just lets you do whatever for pizza. Like, the security guard lets him in, the science guys let him use one of their ultra top secret computers just by giving them pizza? Like, holy cow.
in the Marvel multiverse, there's just one constant: pizza is the key.
Well, congratulations, Theo.
So
Your
we
country
need
created what's
to
eventually gonna
Thanos-
be the key to world peace.
I
You know-
thought Lois was the key.
Okay, when I see Endgame, pizza better be the way everything is solved.
But failing,
Yes.
I thought Lois was the key.
Yes,
And it
yeah,
better
yes,
not have any pineapples on it.
yes,
Lois
Twebs.
is
Lois,
in another multiverse.
yes, Twebs. Lois is the key to all this. She's the funniest character that we've ever had.
You know, actually, I gotta ask, why not just have the actual Stan Lee play Italian Stan here? I mean, you got
He's
Stan
not
Lee
an
in the
actor.
movie.
Well, hey, at least they made up for this by having Stan Lee run another restaurant in Spider-Man PS4.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
He only
okay.
gets one cameo per thing.
I mean, Stan Lee can turn in a good performance when
You
it's
guys
suited
were
to
my
him.
favorites in this movie.
I don't know, Shiroi. Within the first 5 seconds of Captain Marvel, there already were plenty of Stan Lee cameos.
So, guys, stop me if you heard this before.
yeah.
Betty Ross has another boyfriend who's not Bruce, who she totally won't leave to be with Bruce. Oh, God, they're
I
getting that
also
out of the way
remember that he
already.
technically had a handful of scenes in the Teen Titans Go movie.
Betty?
That's a much better.
I can't tell if this is normally shot or this is slow motion.
Wow, I love how she just up and leaves her date there just on the off chance that she saw her old gamma-induced boyfriend.
Yeah, again, I'm not.
The pizza's getting cold.
I'm not entirely sure whether it was Leterrier or Norton that directed this bit.
What are you,
Oh, look, the
15?
dumpster. Hey, look, Edward Norton.
Doesn't matter.
Just like how Disney treats him.
Well, okay. The shots that don't look shots that look like it was done by an amateur, those are the ones that did.
So she goes looking
Yeah,
for
yeah,
him.
I'm pretty sure. Like Pedro, it basically sums up everything so far. We're barely halfway through the movie, and it's a bore fest.
I so don't give a crap.
Mind you,
Like, I mean, like, I get what they're doing, like, sometimes, like a slow build-up is fine.
Mind you, stuff has happened.
If there's at least more development than what's being shown here.
One at a time, guys.
maybe
One at a
it's more
time.
acceptable.
Phelan, I am a Kubrick fan. I am incredibly tolerable to slow pacing. Trust me.
Oh wait, guys, gotta say this. The last scene of him hiding from her was completely pointless. Why? Because look, she finds him.
In the middle of the rain. You're
I
gonna...
mean,
Okay.
this is about a bridge. It's romantic.
Okay, just throwing out here, Hollywood, scenes under the rains are not romantic. Your characters are catching pneumonia as they are kissing.
Wait. Are we now in a Nicholas Sparks story?
All right.
Love each other, therefore they're willing to get sick for each other. Just get a room.
I get Pedro's point. He's a fan of Stanley Kubrick films, and Stanley Kubrick films often have a slow pace, but those films have a slow pace for a reason.
Is it legal to park your car there?
Mind you, I don't think the pace has been too slow. Stuff actually has happened in the movie, but I so don't care. Like,
slow pacing is usually used in cinema.
So now that Betty knows where he is, she's actually going to actively help him now. Oh, yes, by all means, just... Never mind, let's cut to a scene of this.
As Kubrick taught us, slow pacing in cinema is usually used for the sake of creating atmosphere, building up atmosphere, and having usually it's better used when the movie relies a lot on visual storytelling. Which
wait, hold on, guys. We're about to get our villain motivation. Another continuity snarl, but whatever. You don't understand why we can't. Betty, where have you been these last few years?
Bruce, we must vape.
Do we need to tell you, or do you need a drawing?
I guess we have to tell her, because here we go. Bruce just told her he wants to cut it open. He wants to dissect it.
I swear, I get
Army of Hulks.
I swear, I get the feeling that Liv Tyler was high throughout all this shoot. That's why she speaks in a high pitched.
Yeah. Let me continue briefly what I was mentioning before. Like, I didn't mind it too much her as Arwen, even though I thought Peter
Stark
Jackson
Industries
used her too much in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But everything else when I saw her, like Armageddon, I haven't been convinced of her as an actress.
Also, I'm sorry. Why are they inserting now that Stark Industries provided all this stuff for the corporation? Like, I mean, we get it,
I'm
okay?
guessing this is the time where Stark Industries was still producing weapons before Tony banned them.
Yeah, but this is chemical warfare stuff, seeing as how what that has to deal with is stuff that made Bruce the Hulk.
I don't know what to tell you.
Speaking of Hulk, how about some more of the life and times of Bruce and Betty? It's probably nowhere near as good as the Adventures of Lois and Clark. In fact, you know what? That's a show I like. The Adventures of Lois and Clark. That was actually a pretty good series. Why am I not watching that instead?
You could find a better romance in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, you could.
Well,
that's it's controversial, but I don't have a problem with Hulk and Widow. I don't.
Well, the problem is they keep switching who Widow's in love with every movie.
I think my only issue is that
it's almost as if she's a secret agent that cannot stand too long in a single place.
Yeah, that's one point, but I've never really seen her relationship with either Cap or Clint as anything romantic.
No. Clint, no, they're friends. Clint has a freaking family, for crying out loud. They can't have a relationship with her. I mean,
I can't. Just that and Hulk is the only thing I've been seeing.
Okay.
Can you feel the excitement of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, to be fair,
Endgame got shit on this.
They are, and that they can't be together.
Was only the second movie in this.
I know, dudes. I'm mostly joking.
But Iron Man 1 was a great movie. So
and that came out only like 2 months, 2 or 3 months.
All the references to Stark is just to remember that there's a better movie out there.
Speaking of a better movie, this is where the movie starts to get stupid. Okay, so the military wants to find the Hulk to dissect him. So what are they gonna do? They're going to inject something into this guy. This guy who totally isn't evil and is kind of new to the Force.
I wonder what will happen.
Abomination.
Captain America juice, baby.
Oh, we're not there yet, Pedro.
So yeah, props to the movie for having a better point over the 2003 one. At least they got the villain partially right. Because
Sorta.
the last movie was just a clusterfuck in what they wanted to do with the villain. Here, at the very least, they knew who Abomination was and they tried to implement him. Obviously, it doesn't work still, but.
Yeah, it's a demonstration that taking something from the comic doesn't automatically make it good. You need to understand why that sad comic was good to begin with.
Bruce Banner, Mailman.
That's why the Tintin movie sucked so much, Joe. It was technically faithful to the books. It just didn't understand.
It still changed a lot of stupid shit for filler.
Oh, here we had another Gressenhell University disguised to look like an American college.
Well, Joe, the majority of this movie was filmed in Ontario, apparently.
Oh, my condolences to that state. I mean, like...
Oh, Ontario. Wait, saying like Ontario, Canada? Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Province.
My condolences to the province, then. Shoot, I thought it was talk about Ontario over in America. My bad.
Yeah.
Paranoia, everybody's coming to get me.
Burn the witch.
Wow, the military really are good at finding this guy.
Dweebs, can you
Did
imagine
you stick like a tracker on like Betty?
that shot of him running reminds me, Dweebs, what if Tom Cruise was cast as Bruce Banner?
You're better than this.
Yeah, I agree.
He really was doing the Tom Cruise running thing.
At least Cruise knows that he's not a writer. I mean, he probably produced the movie, but that's probably the extent.
Okay, I get that
He still would be miscast, though, because I don't really see Tom Cruise as a nerd character, but go ahead, Jova.
Okay, I get it, you really want to get this guy, but maybe wait till he's not in such a publicly filled place like a college where there are students. Holy cow.
Say, Jova, we're the military.
It's actually movie 101. Go to the most
as possible.
Go to a very covered, like, my
running.
So let me get this straight. Military
area, because that's where the cool action is.
So the military does all this stuff, but no, they don't get any equivalent to the Sokovia Accords.
Coming summer 2008. Edward Norton is Tom Cruise, is Bruce Banner, is the Hulk.
He's in the library.
And he decides to eat the USB drive.
It's like Jigsaw in the Saw 3 or 4, I think.
One of the Saw movies.
If you're gonna get that USB, you're gonna have to dissect me for it. Yeah, but dissecting you is kind of the thing we want to do.
Tiananmen Square reference.
Well, to be fair, at least it didn't. It could have been worse. It could have dragged up his ass, I guess.
Why are you calling him General? He's your...
Run her over.
Because she hates him. Okay.
Shut up.
Okay, can I just mention...
Again, this character technically should be in the future the Red She-Hulk. Think of that.
Okay, I'm just gonna state a big problem with this movie. The problem with this movie is that for a movie that skipped the whole origin stuff, they sure have a lot of past characters that are not quite established. It's like, okay, look, skipping the origin story is nice sometimes, but unless you introduce the characters well enough to us, then you might as well just do the origin story so we at least have a better idea of who these characters are.
I thought you were going to say Liv Tyler. Well, the problem is Liv Tyler can't yell with.
I think Cartman.
I think you already established that well.
Yes,
I think Cartman.
Let's go over this one more time.
Yes,
My name is Bruce Banner. For the past 20 years, I've been the Incredible Hulk.
Wrong movie.
Yes, Pedro?
Jova, I think Cartman and Fracture Butthole said it best. Every hero needs to have an origin story. It's for that origin story that his powers gain meaning. See, even Fracture Butthole, for the record, Fracture Butthole is supposed to be a satire of superhero tropes, and yet it understands superheroes better than this thing. Go ahead.
I mean, even Spider-Man Homecoming showed that you can actually skip the origin story and, oh, goody! It's the second time we've seen Hulk.
A proper
51
one
minutes
at that,
into this.
actually.
You know, Dwebs, what was up with 2008 and casting
Here's
actors who are
done.
usually not actors who clearly don't belong in nerdy roles? This Mark Wahlberg in The Happening.
And later in 2012, Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker.
Well, 2008 was a weird year in general.
Okay.
Veins.
You know what? Oh god, those veins. Okay, you know what? To be fair,
I don't really like the way
Halitosis for the win.
The lighting seems a bit off in this scene. It seems too dark.
I also
It's artificially made here. That's the problem.
Look,
They're artificially filming what should be technically seen in the middle of the day.
Yes.
he
Look
also
at the
has
Hulk.
way too many veins bulging from his body.
It's like with Rob Liefeld the same.
Hulk's
allow
gonna
me.
go inside out any second now.
Yes,
Oh, look at that! Look at that go!
Yes. Look at the
Is
Hulk.
that normal military procedure?
Yes, look at the Hulk in his natural habitat. As you can see, his face is naturally kept in the shadows because, as you can see by the cover, this was during that time when people wanted to make superheroes brooding. Even the way he looks away from the camera is quite interstellar in how he carries out his angst, rage, his suffering, and of course, his angst. Because...
Supposed to show his inner turmoil.
In terms of the movement, it seems like this hasn't aged very well.
No, at all.
No, really,
Not
no.
as bad as like the movement. Like,
It was a transitioning period for
where it looked like a
CGI
video game.
intros.
strike!
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's rude.
And they
We
somehow
also-
survived
we
it.
had to wait. We had to wait for the first Avengers movie to get some really good Hulk action sequences.
Yeah,
Another
so another
4
thing.
years.
Another thing. Even the color on the Hulk is.
I know, right?
It's. If I get. I think they wanted to go for a mishmash between the green and the gray, but it just doesn't work.
I think it's all right.
I
Like,
think
I'm constantly saying like this Hulk is all right.
it's fine for its
No, I'm not-
time, but it
Ah.
definitely... It definitely needed to upgrade, which thankfully they did.
I can't imagine this Hulk standing with the other Avengers.
No,
Oh, no. He's definitely made to be more
No, I can't.
gruesome, more dark.
Honestly, failing. All I can imagine is like Edward Norton arguing with the other actors behind the scenes if he was in Avengers.
Oh, so like Brie Larson did?
Oh,
Zing!
Well, she didn't argue with the actors; she just argued with.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always rewriting your script.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Jesus, how many trucks does the military have to spare
What
for this
the heck
guy?
is those? Those like
I
sonic
feel- yeah.
blasters?
Yeah, I think, guys, you're trying
Hey,
to catch
Venom.
the wrong. Yeah, this is not Venom. You're trying to catch the wrong bad guy.
Why sound waves?
I'm guessing
Because
we're
it's
operating
Venom.
on.
In fact, can I watch? Can I
Jova,
watch Venom instead?
I'm guessing we're operating on the Dark Knight Returns logic. In a sense,
Hi!
idiots.
Ooh, yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
so-
Wow, you just
But,
hurt one of your own
uh,
men. You hurt your secret weapon.
In fact, can I watch?
Comes at a
Can I
whole-
watch Venom
yeah.
instead? At least that film had Tom Hardy eating up the screen whenever he was Venom, or in between Eddie Brock and Venom.
Why, yes, Dribs, I do like the turd in the wind. Though, I'll admit,
Well, like Venom is absolute garbage.
I still
but I
want.
love every second of
I
it.
still want to
Yes,
see
yeah.
that fucking cut footage, man.
Yes, Trevor.
Venom is the epitome of guilty pleasure. By
Yes.
God, it's technically a terrible movie, but by God, I can't help but enjoy it for how much
Well,
of
I
it's
having
can't wait for the
seen-
sequel. I want to see how bad it gets, and I'm
Well,
gonna
so-
love every minute.
Well, Trevor, having seen Zombieland, at least Ruben Fleischer, who directed both that and Venom, still has his traditional sense of fun.
Although,
It
I,
doesn't
even if
have
the
the
movie
person
isn't
to
all
win.
that good.
although I do
Although,
have...
I do think Zombieland is a good movie.
Oh yeah, Zombieland's a good movie.
Can you feel the excitement, guys?
Even the
Oh, look
even
at that!
the
It
Hulk
didn't work! What a shock!
Even the Hulk action is boring. Like it's just so slow and. boring.
Okay, Ross, not for
Oh,
nothing.
now you're bringing the aerial force.
Not for nothing, Ross, but after the sound waves failed, maybe you should pull back at this point.
Oh
like,
yes, an AK-47 will definitely stop him.
Dude, multiple people
This is
started firing
usually
him
the
with your
first
gun.
thing they
Why are you
try.
trying now?
Trevor,
Oh, here goes the best scene. Best scene ever.
Are you a moron?
Oh, now he decides to pull back.
Wait for it.
Ooh, that's a big
Hey!
oof.
And he's dead.
You are a dumbass, good sir.
I love how even the other characters are like, well,
Don't
he's
worry,
an
he's
idiot,
got plot
moving
armor.
on.
Hey,
He's not
look,
gonna
it's
die yet.
Deserved it.
Hey, Betty, I'm your boyfriend. I'm actually concerned for you and your safety.
There's another guy. Shoot him with more sound waves.
You know, I gotta say, I'm not sure if Tim Roth's character is supposed to be American or what. I actually found out. He's Russian. Yeah,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
He's a Russian-born Englishman, essentially.
He's Russian-born, but he works for the UK's Royal Marines Commandos. They loaned him, but the Royal Marines Commandos loaned him to General Ross for his purposes. Although it's kind of funny, we try to be both British and Russian, considering Tim Roth. Hang on, Valen. Because it's funny considering Tim Roth was born in London, Dulwich more specifically.
Well, that's the thing, Dribs. He's a Russian-born Englishman in the film, so I guess it plays to his strengths.
So, you know, guys, considering all these quote-unquote magnificent...
Where's the sprinklers coming
hold
from?
on, here we go. And Death in the Family pose. I know it's got a proper pose, but let's be quite honest. Everyone was calling it the Death in the Family pose.
It's a sculpture from Michelangelo Buonarroti. But anyway, yeah, with all of this, you think that this is like the climax with the end of the movie, but no, we're halfway through this.
So, okay.
Why does no one look like
I have a
getting
question.
Wet? They really look wet.
People have several, but go ahead, Pedro.
Where is exactly is the story of this thing?
Oh, wait, hold on, wait, hold on, guys. We're about to get a twist.
Like, the story, I believe, is just basically Hulk runs.
Wait for it.
Someone wants to make a better Hulk. Meet in Harlem.
Dun,
7
dun,
o'clock
dun.
PM.
The informant was Betty's
That's
fiancé.
not that's a concept at best.
Well, I guess Edward Norton's good for writing concepts
Oh my
and usually writing
God.
scripts.
You know what I love this? The fiance actually realizes, yeah, you almost killed her, he protected her. You gotta say it's pretty bad when even the third wheel in the love triangle realizes that she's better off with his competition than you. Look, oh my God, seriously, this is not Ross. This is a scroll.
This
is a
General
scroll.
Riker. They wrote General Riker, but like Theo said, General Ross is more iconic, so let's put in General Ross in the General Riker script.
Which, I'm sorry, that's an insult to his character, like, big time.
I don't know who this Riker guy is. Is he off Star Trek?
He's basically imagine this character that you're seeing right now, General Ross of this movie, except he doesn't have a mustache and he wants to dissect the Hulk to create gamma creatures.
Great.
That's basically what they did. They took that character from the comics and they plastered his story and character on General Ross for some reason.
And now you see, folks, the Hulk now in his natural, absolutely natural habitat, where everything is dark, gritty. Like, seriously, this was kind of a trend up until Iron Man, but yet this was still a trend with Universal. What was with trying to make superhero films? Look, I get it. Campy can be... Okay, Betty,
Oh.
Betty, shouldn't you know about the Hulk at this point?
In retaliation.
How sad is it that George of the Jungle did this scene better?
I'm sorry.
Hulk, watch out for that tree.
Also, why is Betty scared of Hulk?
That
Shouldn't she know who Hulk is? Like, by this point, she should be kind of okay. You know what's funny? In Hulk 2003, the first time she met Hulk, she didn't actually... Was Hulk afraid of thunder?
Hulk angry against God.
Yes, it's once again, Joe, but the characters are a reboot.
Also, get it in the flashes of thunder, it becomes gray.
Hey, you know, fun fact about this.
Rooting atop a rooftop.
Fun fact, actually, about this. Louis Leterrier's primary inspiration for this film was actually Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's Hulk Gray, which was a retelling of the character's first appearance. In fact, he actually replicated every comic book panel that he pinned during pre-production, from the many comics he browsed into the final film.
The problem is that it's a waste. Like, I appreciate the effort, but it's just a waste. Let's see what he's... Oh, God, he's doing the Netflix series of The Dark Crystal now?
We're just going... Oh, great. More and more scene of people sitting down and doing nothing.
Hey, by the way...
Why are we having this guy handling a Dark Crystal TV series? Why?
You want to know what's sad about having... Hey, you want to know what's sad? Sam Elliott was actually one of the few people who actually wanted to reprise his role as General Ross, and I always thought Sam Elliott does fit. Yet they replaced him with William Hurt. I mean, I'm sorry. Sam Elliott is flipping awesome.
Yeah, I think this final shot's pretty good. I like the final shot here. Kind of reminds me of just like eventually Hulk and Thor just gonna be sitting on a bed. Fire,
I cannot stress enough that Thor Ragnarok is the best Hulk film we've had to this day.
God, I'm drawing a blank right now. What's Blonsky's first name? I forgot.
Emil.
Emil, yeah.
Emil Blonsky, hit by gamma rays.
No,
hit by a
actually, Morty was
glamorous.
injected with something. Again, it's really unclear.
Yeah, that's the problem. Apparently, Stark Enterprise produced something equivalent to the Super Soldier Serum, I guess.
Howard was involved. Like Howard was involved with the whole thing.
Okay, yeah. Here's the thing to explain about the MCU. The MCU takes a lot of inspiration from the Ultimate Universe. The Ultimate Universe has a lot of its heroes replicated from basically an attempt to try and get Captain America's Super Soldier Serum recreated or whatnot. One of them being through gamma radiation, which produced the Hulk. In fact, funnily enough, it was actually because of Norman Osborn's efforts to make the Captain America Super Soldier Serum that Spider-Man was created in the Ultimate Universe.
What this means for you, Shira, is that what turned Captain America into a super soldier back in the 40s, now they're trying to replicate it, but the problem is, well, you're seeing the results. It turned him into the Hulk, basically.
Which, again, is part of the problem. It's like, well, this is technically not an origin story, except they tried to tell us about past stuff that's happened, but stuff we haven't seen before. It's like, this is one of the few times where an origin story could have worked, but no, that's when they decided to skip.
Not to mention, I mentioned this, I think, already in our Fan Force commentary, but I will say every time it's necessary. The Ultimate Universe is one of the worst things where you can take inspiration from, considering the direction it went and a lot of the premises that he wanted to do, mainly to be, quote-unquote, more realistic.
And adult.
Which is a terrible idea to do for a comic book series about superheroes.
Fortunately,
as the movies went on, thankfully they deviated from that idea and decided to do their own thing on things. So at least we have that.
Is that how you wrote this movie, Edward?
No, if it was improvised, it would be better, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's how I got Thor Ragnarok, right? That's like an improv comedy.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of a shame that only Phase 1 of the MCU ever got video game adaptations, because later movies could so use some nice tie-in games, now that we're in a phase where more often than not tie-in games don't suck.
Oh, they're there. It's called your phone.
Especially Jova, when we have movies like Doctor Strange or Black Panther, we introduce characters who haven't had a video game so far, a standalone video game, and you would love to see that instead.
Hopefully they're all going to be an Ultimate Marvel Alliance 3, but yeah.
I just noticed something pretty cool. That's kind of like a nice little Easter egg of something that's consistent throughout the MCU. You just saw like the news report is from WHIH News. This is something that's going to continue showing up, not just in Marvel movies, but in the viral campaign. I do remember there was a WHIH YouTube channel to promote Civil War.
That's nice.
They have like things like Deeper Button, like Paul Rudd.
Yeah, cool. That was pretty cool. Again,
the Incredible Hulk! Watch as Betty cuts Bruce Banner's hair! Can you believe the excitement, ladies and gentlemen?
It's Pringles. You guys hungry?
But yeah, it shows consistency and care for continuity, and I respect that.
Oh, Vitz is so...
Faggy touch.
Actually, I don't know what this is supposed to be.
It's boring, Jova. It's boring. Boring as fuck.
Are you still alive?
Yeah, I'm alive.
Yeah, I don't understand how I saw this movie was good the first time around. And then I guess because
the standards were lower then.
Yeah, maybe failing. It's just even the good qualities that we had just didn't age well.
But not even that, because we saw it a couple months ago to prepare for my Infinity War review. I'm guessing the reason why this thing isn't working well is once you know what happens, the second time around you just are waiting for something interesting to happen that you know it's going to happen. Like, when is it happening?
Yes, Liv, sir.
When I first saw this movie on Blu-ray, I thought it was just really mediocre. Also, yeah, apparently you can't
Wait.
even have sex without turning into the Hulk.
That's
Wait.
sad.
Okay. If there's one thing I appreciate the MCU for retconning, okay, I'll admit the whole I can't have a baby because my junk is gamma messed up. Okay, that was silly, but at least he can actually have sex still. He just doesn't figure to get into a relationship because of it. Here, though, he can't get too excited, which means he can't have sex. Holy cow, the Hulk really has ruined his life. I mean, I guess to be fair, that does technically tie into stress. Oh wait, no, maybe he's gonna have another go at it. Never mind. Let's go back to William Hurt.
It has to do, Jova, with the common thing with the Hulk is that despite how Bruce really wants to be with Betty, he never can because of what reasons X, Y, Z, and go from the alphabet.
Okay,
that's kind of that's his primary dilemma.
Okay, serious question, William Hurt. Why Blonsky of all people? Why not one of your own trusted soldiers who, you already know? Like, heck, go ahead and make that woman the new She-Hulk or something. I mean, she would probably make more sense rather than a clear psychopath who...
Because, Jova, it's Emil Blonsky who turns into Abomination in the comics.
That would be fine. Just make the character of Emil Blonsky make more sense in the context.
Again, it would make more sense if you made his right-hand woman like a She-Hulk or something to hunt down the Hulk, rather than this guy here.
I don't know, Joe. The entire premise behind the She-Hulk doesn't really fit with the military life.
Oh, it's... Well...
Maybe Blonsky has been chosen to just make Abomination because, hey, if we lose him, we're not losing anyone special.
Oh yeah, that's right. Isn't Abomination currently dusted?
No, Jova.
Oh no, he's still out there.
We'll see. By the end of this movie, we'll know exactly what happens to Abomination, and it will just say that it will stay permanent for a long time.
Mr. Disney, I don't feel so good.
Yeah. No, that's the ultimate failing. They close him in the Disney vault.
Oh God, now that's a fate worse than death. He's stuck in there with Walt Disney's head in Lion King 5 and 4.
Let's add more Disney myths. He's hidden under Cinderella's castle.
Silly Jova, don't you know?
I wonder if that's where they bury a lot of the Fox stuff nowadays.
Silly Jova, don't you know? Walt Disney's body is cryogenically frozen.
Oh, Ross.
I do know, like, one of the myths is just, like, like they froze Walt Disney under Cinderella's castle in Disney World.
No. What they did is they put him.
Oh man, I haven't seen a monitor like this in a long time.
They put him into cyberspace. He's not AI.
What happened was Roy Disney put Walt Disney's body in the Land of Departure and closed it with a keyblade, and now it's Walt Disney is actually in Castle Oblivion.
I really have to.
He's hidden in a haunted mansion somewhere.
Guys, cyberspace.
Okay, guys. Guys.
Incredible Hulk movie.
This is a very out of character sequence.
It really is. Like, guys, it's 2000.
This transition is like 2003 Hulk.
I know, right? I mean, seriously, it's 2008 when this movie was made. We already knew what the internet actually did. We weren't in that 90s trend of thinking that the internet could be used for anything.
Anyway, also, apparently S.H.I.E.L.D. is on the trail.
Of Dr. Samuel Stearns.
Samuel Stearns. But for the record, Webs, Samuel Stearns is the guy who eventually becomes the leader. Anyway, so movie, could you please make up your mind? Are you a sequel? Are you a reboot? Are you a remake? Pick your goddamn mind.
And
I know. Wait, Pager.
I made a review on TMNT 2007. That was one of my complaints as well. I didn't one of the problems with TMNT that this movie is also suffering with.
Yeah.
It doesn't know what it wants to be. Because it's clearly a sequel to Ninja Turtles 3, but it tries to incorporate a lot of elements from the 2003 show. And if you've grown up with the live-action movies, you don't know who Karai is or why the Foot Ninja suddenly, adult.
I haven't seen the 2003 show, but I always assumed that the 2007 movie was a kind of a spin-off of the 2003 show.
No, it's got nothing to do with it.
It wasn't, because 2003 TMNT, it involves the Ninja Turtles sort of, they're sort of broken up. A lot of time has passed. And one of the biggest examples as to how it tied into the live-action movies is in one of the final sequences. Once Raphael gives up the title of the Night Watcher, he puts away his mask with a bunch of other souvenirs, and you see stuff from the live-action movies. You see the Time Scepter from Turtles 3. You see the ooze broken just as it was in Ninja Turtles 2, Shredder's helmet. Like, it's clearly a reference films. And for example, the 2003 show, as far as I know, has never introduced the Time Scepter. And
Okay, hey guys. You know, we haven't had enough evil scientist, evil military, evil government cliches. So let's go with another cliche.
they could stop that shot there. They could have stopped the shot there
was
already.
terrible.
So
that
they're gonna...
CGI there was terrible.
Okay, never mind. Okay, good on you.
I guess Bruce Banner felt a disturbance in the game of Force.
Seriously.
Yeah, the disturbance is called traffic.
I get what we were trying to do to give Banner some form of PTSD, but it just doesn't work.
Wow, look at that. They have to travel across the sea, over the lands, and all that jazz. Oh, goody, New York City. Some of you heard this before, guys. New York City, the site of heroics from the Marvel Universe.
Hmm. What the fuck is this music?
I don't
Who
know.
is this?
Are we in a different movie now?
Is this Crazy Taxi now?
So what the?
Yeah.
Yes, freaking Crazy Taxi now.
Oh,
Alright,
get it, guys, get it, guys.
Ooh, I'm
Bruce
driving
is...
Bruce Banner across the city.
Roll call, Dweebs. What's your
as many
favorite
people as
driver?
possible.
Dweebs,
You...
what's your favorite driver?
BD Joe. Oh no, no.
Hey, look, She-Hulk foreshadowing, I guess.
Goss, not BD Joe. Goss.
Hey,
okay.
found. It's funny you mentioned She-Hulk foreshadowing, because Betty Ross actually is the Green She-Hulk in the Ultimate Universe.
I know, that's why she's yelling. Like, is that what they're trying to do? Is that like set up for something that's never going to happen?
Possibly, since they were taken from the Ultimate Universe.
That's Dr. Stearns. No.
Hey, look, he's wearing blue. I wonder what that's supposed to mean.
Like,
it's Mr. Blue. Da da da.
Like, I get it that the leader doesn't really have a particular appearance, but he still relies on the intellect. But Stearns never looked like this kind of a wimp as a human.
You know,
so who's this character?
Samuel
Dr.
Stearns.
Daniel Stearns.
AKA Mr. Blue.
He's the guy who becomes the leader, Dwebs.
Samuel Stearns, my bad.
Yeah, Paige, why are you even bothering to mention that? It's not like this movie
Anyway,
cares
he's
about
played
that.
by Tim Blake Nelson. Let me check what he did.
Yeah, not that it matters, yeah.
Oh, he was in Scooby-Doo 2, Monster Unleashed.
Oh, that's where I've seen him before.
He was also in Fan.
Oh, I want to see Scooby-Doo in the MCU now.
Well, I guess you kind of do with James Gunn on board, eventually. Oh, by the way, fun fact, actually. Hey, guys, you know about the infamous attempt to include Amazing Spider-Man into the Avengers universe? You know, they were originally going to include the Oscorp Tower?
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, with this film, Louis Leterrier actually originally intended to have Tobey Maguire have a cameo as Peter Parker in this movie. Anyway, but yeah, fun fact, Louis Leterrier actually originally wanted Tobey Maguire in this movie as Peter Parker.
Makes sense, because if I recall correctly, there were some interviews that in the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, they wanted to have the Stark Tower, Enterprise Tower as a cameo.
Not only that, but originally... Oh, foreshadowing.
Oh,
Here we go.
He's going to become the Abomination She-Ra, a classic Hulk villain.
Players, baby.
You know, funnily enough...
2003 Hulk, just slowly.
You know, funnily enough, at this time and day, they were actually making plans for Spider-Man 4. That is until the Aviarad attacked.
Well,
and everything changed.
God damn it, Fade, it was about to
get it, guys? Get it, guys? He feels like a monster. He's totally not evil. He's just...
Jova?
What?
Well,
Animal life become. Let's go, guys.
Well, Jova, if it helps you... If it helps you, Joe, but there was recent development that says that a Sam Raimi animated Spider-Man film is a possibility, apparently.
Oh, that would be nice.
I dig it. Just put
Personally,
into Spider-Verse, so then we can have a lot more fun.
personally, I would prefer if the filmmakers who made Lord and Miller would just keep making more, but instead of Sam Raimi. But
I mean,
I
why
know
can't we?
Lord and
Let's
Miller
just
are
have
They
both.
kind of
working on
confirmed
something
already
for
they're
Sony?
working on a sequel to Spider-Verse, so...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
but
rather
also-
have a Spider-Verse 2 over a
No,
Sam Raimi
no,
animated film.
Why not we just
no.
have both?
Okay.
Knowing Raimi, he'll probably turn Mary Jane into a damsel in distress again.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
actually, that was kind of the producer's fault in 3.
Well, what about 1 and 2 then?
What about the other two then?
Oh, well, 1, she was kind of only taken that one time. 2, she doesn't have superpowers, so that made sense.
She was in danger like 5 times in that movie.
Yeah, go figure. Wait,
In Spider-Man, come out.
I know,
That's not Mary Jane. That was Mary
I
Jane.
know you love Sam Raimi, Joe, but you have to hold him to account on some of the key things.
Oh, I still do. Like, look. The Sam Raimi trilogy is good, but I won't deny that it is still silly. It's better than the Amazing Spider-Man duology, though. Like,
Alright.
Oh boy.
It is going to be entertaining.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. This will somehow cure him of being the Hulk. You figure that one out.
Totally.
Let him out to let him in. Better out than in, I always say.
Goody.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's one hell of a huff art.
Oh, lovely.
Look at that amazing
Body
CGI.
horror. I guess I'm supposed to be disturbed.
I mean,
Now
I'm
I can
disturbed by
dig the
the CGI.
idea. I can dig the idea of having the old transformation being played off as body horror. I mean, Fan Stick had some sort of idea of doing that with
yeah,
these characters.
yeah, like that. Yeah, like Fan Four Stick. It did try to be unsettling.
Do it.
Do it.
Pull it again.
Coochie coochie.
Snooky snooky.
Well, it ain't Barney the Purple Dinosaur.
Why the
Do
fuck are you standing there?
It looks like she's mounting him.
There you go, Hulk. You're getting what you wanted.
Oh,
See, you
yeah.
done that earlier.
What an idiot.
Was that kick necessary? He's gonna turn you purple.
Yeah, that was a weird phase.
Puberty's weird, isn't it?
It is.
It's a weird kind of puberty.
I'm just glad I only had to go for
The
that
incredible
once.
pubic stage.
So... did it
Well,
work?
I guess that means the Hulk is officially going to be cured.
Totally, guys.
Yeah, sure.
It's gonna be
Basic-
cured with
ba-
Ruffalo.
Basically, sure. There's multiple instances where even when Bruce manages to find a cure, he always ends up having to revert back so he can protect people from the bad guys. So it's
My
this
secret
constant.
captain. I'm always stuck in the status quo.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the same unfortunate fate that, for example, doesn't allow Ash Ketchum to win a single league.
Hey, Bruce,
Or
what you need?
age.
Hey, Bruce.
Excuse me, Teo. Actually, he did win that Orange League.
The
So-
non-canon one, of course.
Well, it is canon to the anime.
Yeah, not to the games. Sorry.
Well, nothing in the anime is canon to the games.
But yeah, all
My
right.
secret
Sorta.
captain. I'm always non-canon.
Really, the amygdala? Are you serious?
Edward, I don't think you know what the. Do you even Ed? I don't think you know what the amygdala. What that thing.
Amygdala.
Anyone
Amygdala
who's taken
is-
a high school course should know this.
Actually,
just slap the word quantum on it. It's fine.
you just need to play Bloodborne if you really want to know it.
Oops.
Oops. You want to leave?
I've been making frogs explode.
Oh, God. Why you again?
Oh shit, not again.
Ah, shit. Here we go again. And the sniper's recovering beta level?
I don't know.
That's my secret captain. I'm always monitored.
You know, they go on about wanting to capture the Hulk and whatnot, but have they ever factored in that maybe if they end up shooting Bruce or whatnot, that may actually kill him? I mean, we know that won't work, but they don't know that.
So many blood samples.
Yep, blood samples that he's been sending to Mr. Blue. However, he's been doing that.
Why does he need such fancy shelves?
Here's the
This is gonna
problem.
cost a lot.
Yeah, they kind of mixed the character of Dr. Stearns with the one of Dr. Connors from the Spider-Man universe because he wants to use Bruce Banner's blood in order to cure incurable diseases, which is kind of...
I'm always the lizard.
We don't own Dr. Connors yet.
Yeah, that's the problem.
We still don't outright own him.
That's why we made an XP of him. Also, poor guy who always wanted to play the Lizard but never got to in the films. He would have gotten to in Spider-Man 4. That's a sad thing. Uh-oh. Tim Roth, Emil Blonsky, totally not evil British dude is up to
However,
no
I have
good.
wonderful news for all you people. The movie is almost over. We're basically entering the major final climax, so sit tight.
We got about 30 minutes left. And that's the thing. For as much as this film tries to be all dumb action or whatnot, there's kind of very little action. I dare say possibly even less than the 2003 one.
There is a chase scene in South America. Then,
These are always the intention of the Hulk. It's
then
that,
a major scene. Oh!
You gotta wait for. That's always...
that scream.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always tranquilized.
Bruce! Please, awaken to the sound of my angelic voice, or I'll just get thrown aside.
Yeet.
Where is it? Rachel.
Oh my god. I get the feeling that this is the part where Tim Roth
Save
realized...
Martha. Save Betty.
I have to wonder, guys. I can just imagine Tim Roth thinking, God, if I give it 110%, I'll totally get to be in this big project they call the MCU from eons until now.
Also, actually, questions, because if anyone actually saw it, if it happened, have the Mythbusters ever tried to see if someone being hit with the cock of a gun actually can get unconscious from that?
I don't know what they have. Also,
because we always use in these movies this technique of making you unconscious by eating with that part.
Well, guns are made of
wait, guys.
material,
Betty's
so
trying.
I'm assuming if you hit them hard enough, that it would do it. I guess.
Never mind. How could he?
I love you, daughter.
Why did that? Okay. I'm sorry. That felt like William Hurt slipping back into his 90s acting.
Lost in Space.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen a lot of middle roles that he did here, like 2010's Robin Hood.
And she's dead.
Oh.
Oh, well, see ya.
She's
Thank you.
Hey, we need more hitting people in this movie.
Okay, so here we go to a trend I really could not get about Phase 1, making the villains pretty much an evil reflection of the heroes.
The problem, Jova, is that with the Hulk, it's basically only that.
Well, oh, come on, Teal. We had stuff like the Absorbing Man or the Leader, and those weren't clear.
The Leader is technically a dark reflection. He's just more using the mind over the brawn.
He's the opposite of the Hulk, whereas the Hulk is all brawn and no brains. The Leader is all brains and no brawn.
I'm sorry, man, could
be got the name. The
Abomination.
Well, okay.
It's the classic superhero. It's the classic superhero trend of not saying a person's alter ego's name, but slightly referencing it.
Yeah, I never got that because, oh no, they think the comic book movies are too stupid.
Or else they think, we'd be too silly if we actually said it outright. It's like, dude, you're a comic book movie. Own up to it.
Although Marvel has been getting better at that. For example, like DC, has the DCEU ever said the word Wonder Woman?
No.
Yeah, I've never seen the name Wonder Woman ever get dropped.
Well,
I know, I recently saw Aquaman, and Aquaman is the name that gets dropped. Down to the point where, Aquaman has
it's
the
because of the memes
name of the Ocean
fading.
Master.
Yeah.
So
But with
okay,
Wonder Woman, I'm
okay.
guessing it's because it's knowing Snyder, I can totally see him saying, "Oh no, guys, this is too serious. We cannot name the character Wonder Woman."
Although, ironically, we still have the name Batman and Superman and stuff like that. Like, imagine a Batman or Superman
Oh
movie.
God, he's
Here we
naked.
go.
Oh God, he's naked.
Batman v Superman. Say hello to Doomsday.
It's okay, Jova. Fortunately,
You even got an eccentric nerdy guy making him.
it's okay, Jova. Fortunately, just like any of other these type of monsters, he's dickless now for some reason.
Oh wait, here we go. A little bit of a tease for the audience.
That's it for the sequel that never came. That's him starting to
Why
turn
does
into
he give that smile? Like, yay, I'm mutating. Like, what the hell is up with that?
It's a wink at the audience. See, we're gonna do the leader in the next movie.
Oops, we don't.
Let's see ya.
This movie is one of those kinds of movies, the one that's so full of itself,
I will
thinking
state
it's going
more
to
at
get
the end. I will
sequels.
say more in the final thoughts the specific reasons why we haven't done that or many other things. But yeah, for now, yay! Abomination has finally entered the movie. About time.
Another thing about this movie.
I think it's fine to just have the climax.
One thing about the critical reception of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
On Rotten Tomatoes, it's tied with For the Dark World as the lowest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes at 67% in the MCU.
Wow.
What can I say except yikes?
So, Tio, what do you think of this take on Abomination?
He doesn't have the fiends on his head. The 0 out of 10.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
No, seriously, they fucked up the one thing that distinguishes Abomination from generic hulking monster.
Yeah, again, this is part of my issue. They not only made him in story just evil Hulk, but they also made him a reflection of Hulk visually. Which, okay. In Black Panther, that worked because of the theme. Here, not so much. Like,
You see,
I don't really know.
What is the theme?
There is no theme. Like, I don't get why the MCU loved to do this so much with Phase 1 villains.
It's a sad thing that this is not visual, or else it would have like that one meme of the guy like pointing at his head, like, you can't reflect the theme if there is no theme.
Pretty much.
you see.
Oh,
you
Apollo.
You see, Jova. Zack Snyder saw this movie and he thought, "What if I made Doomsday look kind of pretty much like this?"
Oh, apparently,
Is this Snyder's favorite MCU film?
Oh, apparently, that guy just then who just stumbled from a car being thrown at him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's that actor anyway. He's a guy most famous for being in The Wire, and Edward Norton wrote that scene because he liked that show.
Okay. Like, The Wire is a decent series from what I remember, but not to this point. It's like that throwaway gag in Family Guy. You will love you will hate every single series except maybe The Wire.
Okay. +1 to that line where the military guy says, "You really think a rifle's gonna hurt that?" Finally, some military leaders who actually get some common sense.
Yep. Well.
Oh, crud.
Well, okay.
Well, that didn't work.
Well, at least they tried. A for effort.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can't stop the
So,
plot.
what
armor,
exactly-
only be defeated by the protagonist, fools.
So, okay, I hate to say it, but like in Iron Man 1, I have to ask, what is the villain's plan up to this point?
No fucking idea.
I think we're supposed to interpret, Jova, that after getting his first taste of gamma, he got addicted to it and he went insane.
That doesn't make any sense, though. I mean, he's been wanting power, but why did he want this power? Like, again, we never understand why
Because
So
he
he can
wants this
destroy
power.
Harlem.
In
He
the
has a
first place.
really bad grudge against Harlem.
He just became a really insane, he just wants to break shit up because he's nuts.
Also found, if he's got a grudge against Harlem, I'm sorry, he's got to deal with Luke
Yeah,
Cage.
give me a real
then.
fight. He just wants to fight people now.
Well, okay, then where's Luke Cage to deal with him, since we're in Harlem, apparently?
Well, didn't Luke Cage started operating after what we called in the series the incident, aka the first Avengers?
Yeah, technically.
Hey, Debs, without spoiling anything for the guys, could you imagine if Endgame referenced this movie? You know what I mean.
No one spoil if it does.
Honestly, I literally saw that movie a few hours ago, and this film's so forgettable. Even references to this film in future films just kind of exit my brain.
Hey, here's another fan
Wow.
fact. Hey guys, I got a fun fact for you. This movie kind of crippled Edward Norton's career. It didn't end it, but after this, he didn't really get big starring roles. I think the biggest role he got after this was that character in Sausage Party. Otherwise,
honestly, Jova, I didn't even like him in Fight Club. Well, I didn't like Fight Club in general, I guess. So I guess I don't like Edward Norton as an actor in general anyway. So honestly, to me, it's not that big of a loss.
Also, fun fact, there was a cameo given by Michael K. Williams as a Harlem bystander.
That was what I was referring to, I think. Yeah.
Edward Norton's acting is just so very bland and typical. Like he doesn't.
There's no charisma or anything. There's not even the signature Marvel quips.
Well, Jova,
Complete me.
Well, Jova, he was in Alita Battle Angel recently.
By the way,
he was?
another
He
fun...
was
In
told
the
to be like
final
Nova
scene,
at the
he
end.
didn't speak.
Hey,
Oh right. Okay.
okay, that was kind of funny.
Also, Isle of Dog. That's an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Well, I think Bruce may be dead,
Okay,
guys.
that's impossible, even for like a human. Like I understand like the one thing of like Buffalo like flopping atop the Rainbow Bridge in Ragnarok, but just like Banner just like going through the concrete. Yeah,
no, that doesn't work. Hey, by the way, fun fact,
You wanted to know who I am?
Oh, goody.
Ora
the
dare
juggernaut
te
bitch.
cagare. Yes,
Nani?
Jova?
Fun fact. You know who was originally supposed to play Emil Blonsky? Ray Stevenson. He would later go on to play Volstagg in the 4 films.
Figures.
Oh, Ray Stevenson. Funny enough, Ray Stevenson was also in a Marvel movie. Ray Stevenson was also in a Marvel movie that came out the year this one came out. The problem is that movie was Punisher Warzone.
Hey,
Oh.
hang on. Abomination just said Hulk. Hey, what was
Yes.
Hulk name dropped?
Yes,
In
Hulk
this
was
movie before
name
this one?
dropped.
Sorry, I just like blanked out hard.
Well. If I understood, hold on. He was already known as the Hulk even at the beginning of this, if I remember correctly.
I
Was
don't remember
he?
that.
I actually don't remember him ever being name dropped
I
before.
think it's easy to assume that since some time passed and the
Remember,
military are hunting him, they could name him Hulk.
Remember, Jova, he was called the Hulk in the 2003 movie, so the sequel part of this movie carries over and as he's known as the Hulk.
But
Again,
what
this
if it's
movie,
the reboot part that's actually retconning that out because we have a different backstory and my head.
This fucking movie.
this movie is okay,
Fight me,
here's the-
IRL, bro.
Here's the basic gist of it, Jova. Whenever this movie needs an excuse to be a sequel, it is a sequel. Whenever it needs an excuse to be a reboot, it's a reboot. When it needs to be a
Okay.
remake, it's a remake.
Not gonna lie,
Hulk is
this
whatever you want it to be, baby.
not gonna lie, this part is actually pretty cool. Sock 'em boppers, sock 'em boppers.
Yeah, of course. Like this is the climax.
Was
This is
it
supposed
worth
to be
it?
the one thing that sells you. This is the money shot. This has to be good.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like combine this with the other scene before near the university where Hulk used the 2 pieces of metal. It's almost as if the movie's implying that Hulk cannot punch things normally with his fist.
Well, he
Maybe
was
that
doing
would
it
be
just
too
now, though.
violent.
I don't
Why
know.
would you just simply punch things when you can be extra?
Yeah, he was just doing it earlier to
It's still cool to
Abomination's
see
face,
Hulk
though.
do something to the environment. You know, like
It's-
manipulate it in some way to his
Yeah.
advantage.
That's just it, too. It's like in the video game where we take a piece of the environment and hit people with it.
And I guess that also shows like a difference between him and the Abomination so far. Like Hulk is at least smart enough to use
I
things
feel
to
like-
his advantage.
I feel like I should have a PS4 controller in my hand right now.
I do, because that's what I'm using to watch this movie.
Well, I gotta say, guys, this is a pretty good.
Try pressing square. See if you can
Don't
control the Hulk.
you'll enter
Takes me to the main menu. Sorry, this game's not that exciting.
Well, I gotta say, this does look like a pretty good PS4 game.
Too bad that was the last generation.
Yeah. Bang, 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 bang.
Whoa, slow-mo.
Closest thing I have to like a Hulk, like causing some Hulk destruction is like a copy of Disney Infinity in my Hulk figure.
Well,
know-
here, I'll try.
But I can have Hulk beat Darth Vader, so you know it's cool.
You know, I can
Hold on,
just
I'll try
imagine.
mashing square.
Oh no,
You're gonna
Pedro, your
have to
effort seems.
come
I
through.
gotta get my
Fast.
DualShock 3. I'm getting my Joy-Cons.
No, it's not working.
The
No.
Switch
Damn,
doesn't
Pedro.
have a square button. What can I do?
Actually, Shiro, I have my DualShock 4 in my hand
Oh,
right now.
wow.
Like, it's not.
Damn,
Maybe
Pedro.
I
chooses
know, but what
motion
about the
control.
rest
Pretend
of
you're
us who
punching.
have Switches?
Yeah,
Also,
That one has a good point. Try motion controls.
Also,
Okay,
damn,
6 axis.
Damn, Pedro, you're bad at these QTEs.
I guess I am, yeah.
We need Wii Motion Plus.
Or Nintendo Switch with its gyro.
The Incredible Hulk now with Labo support.
I can just imagine the NYPD reporting this. Sir, there appears to be a jolly green giant fighting against a yellow nudist. Muscly type.
Too much green giant.
I think our first move is to call the Avengers. You're a little too far ahead there, buddy.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, Jova. Shiroi.
Yes.
Fun fact. Stanley once said that when he wrote comics, he was always trying to be somewhat mindful of logic and stuff like that in a lot of ways. However, he always had
guys, she called Ross dad, which means she's forgiven him, I guess.
I'm pretty sure nobody cares, Jova.
And I don't care.
But guys, they totally hated each other.
Yes, Pedro, continue.
It's basically, Shiroi, Stanley always had trouble trying to come up with excuses of why the Hulk Banner's pants always stayed on every time he turned into the Hulk. And one particular detail that he did mention is that in the TV show in the 70s, they always made sure he was wearing long pants whenever he turned into the Hulk.
Okay. Not gonna lie, that look that Hulk gave, like, oh god, I still gotta deal with this. That was actually funny.
That's just him watching the movie. Like, I want to see, like, Hulk commentary.
Of course the gas is leaking.
Yeah. Oh no, I couldn't move? Why aren't I moving?
Tap out. Say uncle, Hulk. Say uncle.
Don't you know, with great power comes great responsibility? And no, I don't know where I came up with that line either.
I think what could have made this a little better is not have Abomination speak. Like, have him turn into such, like, a mindless monster. He doesn't even have the capacity to even think.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, a semblance of humanity. That shows more of a parallel between me and Hulk. Between him and Hulk. Not me. I'm not the Abomination. Between him and Hulk.
It's like I'm watching a video game.
Be more the monster, and Hulk be more the man.
Yeah, you're watching the YouTube LP of it.
A Quantic Dream game, or a Quantic Dream game.
Hey, his thunderclap to you!
Yeah, we remembered, yes, the thunderclap figures.
What movies did you use that?
One good.
Sorry, Dale, what was that you asked? Dale?
Oh yeah, what?
What did you ask?
I didn't ask anything. I'm just talking about, like, what the movie could have done to at least establish more of a parallel and more of a theme.
Oh my
by
god!
Just having Abomination be more monstrous.
Oh my god, Abomination is picking up the chain! What do you think of this development, Dwibs?
It's Ghost Rider.
Dwibs, we're supposed to be commenting on this wrestling match. Come on, wake up.
Here you guys put up like a boxing voice. Here we go. It's about to give him a good slugging.
This is one weird wrestling moment, and I saw the necrophilia angle.
It's
and his name is the Abomination.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah, sounds accurate.
It wouldn't work.
Oh my god, he said the line!
Guys, he said it, we can go home.
He said the
okay, thank you!
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Any last words, he's about to swing, and then it goes slow motion. And then Hulk goes Hulk smash. If this was going on in real time, Hulk would have been hit by those chains before he could even say the sentence.
Rule of cool?
Yeah, I could imagine how that would go. Hulk smash!
Hulk, damn it!
Oh wow, he ripped out one of his sharp bones and stabbed him with it, cause he's edgy, yo. Seriously, what is with the edge of this
Uncle
movie?
Abomination.
No, Hulk, you're better than that.
It's alive, don't you know?
Stop!
Not to mention, there was still the early not the early, but the first decade of the 2000s, where superhero movies consistently ended with the villains getting killed. This was kind of like a first, sparing him.
Maybe it's because they thought, wow, we'd have so many more sequels in mind for these characters.
Is this lady's entire role to scream at him to stop what he's doing?
Pretty much.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah,
just like the one thing to sort of like awaken like the Banner in Hulk.
Well, that's in this film is to scream
period.
Hulk, best there is, and best there ever was.
Ruffalo,
Sorry,
best
Java.
there is.
Actually, come to think of it, that could be a way where they're introducing Wolverine as a Hulk villain.
Yeah, he kind of like how he originally was in the comics.
So...
Quick, guys, get your cameras.
There!
yeah, beat the shit out of him.
Keep
I don't know,
change.
Jove. At this point, the Wolverine is way too iconic for us to go back to that. Honestly.
Pedro.
Well, that's
They
exactly the
constantly
point, though.
reference
Hey,
that, though.
like, I want like Ross to go like, I dare one of you soldiers to poke him.
Besides Pedro, it's still better for what Marvel tried to do in the 90s. Remember where Wolverine was supposed to be retconned as an Australian?
Ah, those were the days.
Which is ironic because they ended up casting an Australian as
Yeah.
Wolverine later on. Although he put on a Canadian accent.
So...
Big guy, sun's getting real low.
It's okay. The movie's
Sorry,
almost
Freddy.
over now. It's okay.
So guys, what have we learned today?
Well,
learned-
we learned...
So what we
We-
have
we
learned
learned-
applies to our lives today, and God has.
We
a lot to
learned-
say
I
in
learned
his book.
I learned that Edward Norton needs to be exiled from Hollywood and never come back.
Oh my god, I remember that song too, Fallon.
I learned that it's a bad idea to give an upstart actor a pen to write a script.
I learned that movies are the best when, a development actually happens, because we're pretty much back where we started. Bruce is now on the run from the military yet again, in a thankless job, as, I guess, somewhat triumphant music plays. I thought we were supposed to feel sad about this. I don't know.
Importance
Superman
of, the importance
pose.
of theming and the importance of consistency.
Yes. Which this movie
I
has
learned
failed
absolutely
at.
nothing because that's what happened in this movie.
Made Feige realize how he, in order to make the MCU work, you need to make sure so many details are kept in check, and this is why the MCU is as consistent as it is now. So maybe we should thank this movie.
I had to wonder.
This
Bruce.
movie was. So
Well-
you're saying, feeling that this movie was a wake-up call?
Yes.
Well, it
Kinda.
was their first bomb.
Bella
Now they're
Coola.
in British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, maybe he'll run into
so,
Wolverine
it
there.
makes me think, what if this movie was successful? What could have happened? What
Oh
would the
god,
Avengers
I
be?
don't even imagine.
Well, for
Or
one thing,
how would the MCU be structured?
oh god, Edward
managed
Norton would
to get
still
a
be
pass.
around probably if this film were a success.
Probably would have integrated Daredevil as with the 2003 Ben Affleck incarnation.
So yes,
Say what you want for the audience, mind you. Say what you want if you don't like the trend that Disney is having in how it's structuring the MCU. But just think for a second that things could have gone way, way, way worse.
we could have
than
had
they are
darker
now.
and edgier stuff, and that would have just
Moral of
gotten
the story,
old.
we
kid,
could
is
have
to
gotten
never let
movies,
Universal touch
Yeah, we
anything.
could have gotten movies like this or Daredevil 2003 or Elektra for that matter on
Okay.
a yearly basis. So
Okay.
imagine that for a
Now,
second.
this ending to me makes absolutely no sense. Just watch. He's meditating, okay? Meditating.
my
Also, he
secret
has a
cabin.
goatee. So he's gone
31.
31 days without incident.
A month.
So then, for
Oh,
some
God.
reason, he decides to become Hulk. Why?
And
I'm
he's
always
mercs,
angry. It's to show like he's controlled the Hulk. It's supposed to show like, hey, I can turn
Oh.
to the Hulk
Hey,
anymore.
Anyway,
that's
time
painful
for-
after he saw this movie.
Time
is
for
it?
the only major reason why this
I wanna
movie is
just
still
go,
considered
wow.
canon in the MCU.
Nick Fury's gonna have General Thunderbolt Ross join the Avengers. Wait a minute.
Well, no,
Red Hulk. Red
he's,
Hulk.
he's more. Yeah, well, yes, but failing.
I am
Angel descending
Jesus.
from the heavens. It's
Red
Robert
Hulk,
Downey Jr.
Red Hulk is more material for the. Oh god, I keep forgetting the name. The not
Hey,
Suicide
Tony.
Squad of a Marvel Universe.
Okay, now this is a weird turn of events. Call it early installment weirdness. Instead of Nick Fury, it's Tony Stark, who is actually here to recruit for something.
Now keep in
Yeah,
mind.
that's one thing that's kind of weird.
Now
saying,
keep
like,
in mind. Before
What
the movie
did
came out.
what did Ross contribute
Yeah, that
to
Uh,
the
too.
initiative?
Oh, a team, you say?
Who's we? Well, it's just me.
Gotta see the movie to find out.
I mean-
but anyway, yeah. When the movie was about to be released, nobody knew about this. It was information that nobody managed to leak out. So props for the movie to keep the surprise. But
Yeah.
you had to see through this log to see it. Just no.
Just go to YouTube and see it. There you go.
Mind
Like,
you, mind
I
you.
guess the one thing that we need that this scene could have been more consistent with what happened in the Avengers.
And keep in mind, this is this final scene is all the information that you need, because ever since this, all the other major materials of this movie about the Hulk and supporting characters completely forgotten or never referenced. Daniel Stearns, not referenced. Betty, not referenced. Yes, General Ross came back. Abomination is still stuck in whatever prison in Antarctica they put him in.
Yep, that's right. Supposedly they put him in an Antarctic prison, and he's not even dusted.
So
Here's the argument. Here's the argument I bring up here is that not even this scene is relevant because I don't really see it matching up. Because obviously it's Tony asking Ross when they're putting a team together, implying that they try to find Hulk. This is not what happens.
True,
because we do know that Hulk is recruited because Black Widow manages to find him, and he's working as a doctor. What the scene could have been instead is maybe Fury actually the very first appearance of Scarlett Johansson, because Iron Man 2 is the next movie. Imagine Fury telling Black Widow, "Search for this guy."
Yeah. Not only that, but as we established later,
the major other reasons why no more side materials from the Hulk gets to be referenced aside of very sporadic stuff, like I say, for example, Talbot coming in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, is because ever since this movie, Universal, well, not ever since this movie, but ever since the Marvel Studios were finalized and everything, Universal established a specific contract with Disney and the Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios get to use the Hulk, but Universal, one, has the last word to say on anything tied to the Hulk, and two, they keep the part of the rights and get an income as a result. So they basically dictate part of what they want. Hence why you haven't seen She-Hulk yet, and you haven't seen a solo Hulk movie yet, despite everyone wanting a new one these days. Because if there's anyone that can make a decent Marvel Hulk movie, that's Marvel Studios at this point.
Reminder, Thor Ragnarok is still the best Hulk movie we've gotten.
I wonder. Well, yeah, Thor Ragnarok is kind of a miracle in that sense.
Here's the thing about the Hulk's future. Obviously, the whole fact is that Universal gets the money, and Disney doesn't want Universal to, get a single cent off the MCU. So I do know that this was practically confirmed. That the deal is that you technically have your Hulk sequel. It's Ragnarok, Infinity War, and whatever happens in Endgame. If you staple them all together, it becomes a standalone Hulk movie, as they claim.
Huh. Go figure.
It's still a bit of a cop-out, and it still precludes the other supporting characters like Rick Jones
unfortunately,
to show up.
Unfortunately, our hands are tied. So.
Not just that, with Comcast, after this buying Universal, and we all know what Comcast is capable of, it's pretty much clear that things have to stay this way, so... at least for the moment, mind you. Besides, the last thing I want is to Disney to buy another giant company like Universal. At least not for now, please.
Although Comcast can now use another green giant instead. They can use Shrek.
Oh god, that's right.
But anyway, final thoughts time, I guess. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Weebs.
Yeah, this movie's definitely... I wouldn't call it one of the flat-out bad MCU movies. In my opinion, there's two of them.
Oh no, it would have to actually leave an impact for us to call it that.
Yeah, one of them's the next movie. But yeah, this film's main problem really is that it's rather... It's just kind of there. I mean, nothing's really... none of the future movies ever really reference anything from this film aside from Ross again. Edward Norton's not a very compelling Bruce Banner. Every time Liv Tyler speaks, I just want to shove my ears into a blender. Ross in this movie is fine. I think it's one of William Hurt's better performances that I've seen. Mainly because there's no moment like "I love you, wife," although there are a couple of moments that come close. Yeah. Edward Norton should never be allowed near a script writing pen ever again.
How much of this did he rewrite? Because this movie sucked.
Well,
you could use a movie on the making of this movie.
Well, remember, Joe,
according to the Writers Guild of America, not enough to get him a writing credit because they felt that his script didn't differ a whole lot from Zach Penn's script.
Huh.
But yeah, the music is there. I mean,
It's got a good theme. That's it. I like the theme for the opening. That's
but
about it.
the direction itself is also kind of weird too. I mean, there's times where the shots do look decent, but there's also times where they have this weird brown, blue, whatever filter. It's like Louis Leterrier and the cinematographer couldn't decide what lens to use for a shot, so they just used all of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, the main problem is that's just it. The problem with this film is just it's just kind of there. Nothing really that much special about it, which is baffling considering this was meant to improve on the problems of the last one. And well,
But Weebs, the soundtrack is available on Amazon. Go check it out.
When do you see that? When do you see, like, I see a lot of movies where, like, the credits say soundtrack available on, and they'll have their own label. When was the last time I've ever seen a movie that says soundtrack available on Amazon?
I don't know. Also, yeah,
They didn't bother putting on their own label because they're not proud of it. So we'll just have Amazon take it.
Yeah, that's just my take on the film. It's just there. Next.
Shiroi.
Sure. Well, that was a movie. You asked me what I said earlier on, Tio. Pedro skipped this one. When he was showing me all the MCU movies, we did skip this one.
Well, you also skipped all the Dark World. But
would you say he did the right decision because it was kind of pointless?
Yes, this doesn't really affect how I see the rest of the movies or how I enjoy them.
How do you feel though now, knowing the origins of the whole, secondary
well,
origins
I kind of
or
already
whatever?
knew all
Hulk.
that, so this was.
No, Jova. I showed. It's okay, Jova. I showed her episode 1 of the '60s cartoon, which is basically the origin story, as with the actual comic panels put in. So that works fine for the context.
Yeah, you don't really need this movie, honestly.
Oh, but Shuri, what about? Actually, no. Don't even bother with the 2003 one. It's disgusting.
Fair enough.
Exploding frogs. I can never stop thinking about that. Every time someone brings up 2003 Hulk, I just think exploding frogs and really bad transitions.
The thing that I remember also the most failing is I keep forgetting the actor, the villain who had literally choose the scenery at some point by chewing an electric cable.
Nick Nolte.
Yeah. Continue. It's a long story. Go ahead, Shiro.
Okay, why would you chew an electric cable?
Because he's the absorbing man, and he wanted to turn electric.
Yum, yum. It's nutritious.
Yeah, it's shockingly nutritious.
That sounds like a cereal ad.
It's absorbing man's electric wires.
They're electrically delicious.
But yeah, this
you put with like crackling rocks into. It's like part dinner, part candy.
All right, go on, Shuri.
Yeah, this movie was just a lot of action, and not in the fun way like the Expendables.
Action. It's more just like talking and staying in like
screaming.
Dark backgrounds, and then occasionally something interesting is going to happen.
Like at some point, I have to wonder: is she screaming for, the Hulk to stop, or for the movie to stop? I'm not entirely sure on that one.
The Hulk's reaction is like, "Oh gosh, I gotta keep fighting him."
The music was kind of. It was okay.
With the Hulk's tired of smashing, you've done something wrong.
Hold on, Shady. Let Shiro finish first.
Sorry.
Okay.
The music was kind of. It wasn't very consistent. I mean, it was fine enough, but they seemed to be shifting genres quite a bit, and not in a very fluid way. The CGI didn't age well at all. And again, that shading was
dark,
kind of abysmal. For the rest of the scene, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really any need for me to see this more than once. I don't think. I don't have a reason to go back to this.
It's a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing, and I'm glad the MCU got better.
Or should we run with the proper pun and just call it an abomination?
Well, good job you said it in broad terms, Shiro, considering the next film, but go on.
Yeah, but I'll ignore the fact that exists. No, that I'm done.
All right, Phelan.
Of course, I've seen this movie quite recently, but man, has my opinion definitely changed upon the second viewing. Because, like I said earlier on, once you know what's going to happen, it becomes just an excruciating wait of waiting for the one thing you know is going to happen, and you just realize how slow and how dull everything is, how inconsistent it gets. And there's a good point about the music being consistent. Obviously, I see what they were going for. They were going for for music, and then sometimes they would try to pay homage to like the old Lou Ferrigno Hulk by having like the classic piano pieces and everything, and it doesn't work.
It really doesn't.
Like, I feel like it would work with, for example, 2003's Hulk, because there's a cheesier vibe and the music with like Danny Elfman kind of mixes better, but it doesn't work with the more serious take that was trying to get here. And just overall, it was just a very boring experience where it could have used more happening. It should have spent less time making shots that are just full of padding. Inconsistent to even the MCU itself. Like, I understand that the MCU, it gathers a lot of different directors with different talents and different tastes. You can't say a movie like Winter Soldier has the same vibe as Guardians of the Galaxy, but this feels too out there. This doesn't feel like it takes place in the same universe. I'm not even just talking about the casting and, the different actors and the recasting. This just feels like a standalone movie, and then all of a sudden Tony Stark shows up.
Yeah.
So I wonder, Phelan, would you be compelled to actually review this movie for your channel, or you think this experience is enough for you?
I've kind of technically reviewed
with your
but it was more in a positive light, which was I went down all the MCU movies going down to it and my initial impressions. I didn't know what I was thinking with The Incredible Hulk, but again, I guess, because it felt like a new experience to me, I was more invested. And then once the second time around, I'm no longer invested.
I know exactly how you feel, because when this movie first came out, well, okay, even when it came out, people were kind of giving the air shoulder, but I'll admit, I was one of the people who liked it the first time watching it. The first time.
Only good. Some movies are only good when you only see it once.
Yeah, like Son of the Mask.
All right, anything else, Phelan?
I really don't have much else to say about this movie, but I don't think this movie had much to say to us either.
Oh, it's okay.
True
all right.
that.
Pedro.
Are you okay, Pedro? Did you survive the Hall of Boredom?
It's so boring. Dwebs, no, I'm going to have to disagree. This is one of the bad ones. Exactly because of the reasons that I'm about to discuss. Because it's boring. It's so boring, and the sad part to it, and what makes it really bad for me, is the fact that it's not. It's convinced that it's not boring. This movie is so completely convinced that it's engaging and deep and all that shit.
This movie's got a lecture for you, and you're going to sit down like good college students and listen to it.
It seems to be a curse of Hulk movies.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Well, this movie suffers from a similar case to the Zack Snyder DCU movies. This movie is convinced that it's more meaningful and impactful than it actually is. It has such a thin plot. Barely has a plot at all. And yet it doesn't seem to realize. It seems utterly convinced that it's a great movie, and it's not. It's just so completely devoid. First of all, what is even the structure of this thing? Like
I said, it's a road trip film.
I can't even tell where this. I can't even tell where the second act of this thing begins.
Like I said, there's a huge.
Just a bunch of circumstances.
Like I said, there's a huge action scene that you think it's the climax, right in the middle of the movie.
I guess the second act begins with Betty and Bruce trying to have sex, but it's not going so well.
This movie is so terribly constructed.
Wait, guys, I got it. The second act is when they try to have sex, but we can't climax. Therefore, we can't reach the climax.
Well, neither
Yes.
does this movie.
Interesting analogy, but continue,
Hey,
Pedro, please.
Oh, that's probably the best symbolism in the movie.
Guys. If Smash Bros. Can make that joke with that stage builder stage called Climax, so can I.
Well, there was a comic.
Go on, Pedro.
Well, there was a comic where Betty became sick because of Gamma Splooge.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
Gamma
Wasn't
Harpy.
there wasn't there like a
Actually-
comic where like Mary Jane died of a
Yeah,
similar situation?
yeah, it's a
Spider
Spider-Man
Rain.
Rain. That's the one. You got confused, Pedro.
Well,
Okay.
no. To Pedro's credit to you, that also happened in
No,
the
there
comics
was
with the
one.
Hulk, where
I
Betty
also
supposedly
remember
died.
that.
I actually have a little Hulk book that compiles some Hulk stories, and that's one of them. So I actually have it right here.
I
with me.
remember there was one time where Betty actually got pregnant with Bruce's son, but she had an accidental miscarriage. It was a terrible stuff that they did with her.
Whatever.
God.
The point is, this movie is terribly constructed. It's a mess. It is completely impossible to watch because it's so mind-numbingly boring. Because nothing happens. Even when there's action on screen, it's not shot very well. It's not very exciting. It's just such a complete bore fest, and that's why it's a bad movie.
So better or worse than the Ang Lee Hulk film?
It's just as bad, just for different reasons.
So you say they're an equal bits of badness?
Like I've said at the beginning, Jova, they're the two extremes of the same meter. You know, the Hulk 2003 movie is on the left end of the spectrum, whereas the Hulk 2008 movie is on the right side of the spectrum. What I want is the one that's right in the middle of the spectrum.
So for Ragnarok?
Well, sure, why not? It will be better than this.
Again, I cannot stress enough that the best Hulk movie we've gotten isn't even really a Hulk movie.
That's because in for Ragnarok you have actors who are capable of doing improv comedy. But the point is, yeah, this movie sucked,
Yeah.
and I don't like the way it looks at all. I don't like how the Hulk
Definitely.
looks.
I definitely watch Ragnarok more. Like, if you saw my Infinity War review, I did like say that Ragnarok. I don't think it was the best movie. I think I found a lot of problems with it, but it did succeed in being very enjoyable. And at this point, I just need an enjoyable movie in my life.
Agreed.
This movie is such a complete wreck, and it's just terrible. Anyway, yeah. Aside from that, the music. I don't even. There was music in this thing. I will say this. I did find it funny how the moment Tony Stark he opens the door and there's a big blinding light behind him.
As
Like,
if to say that, yeah,
I'm here to save the movie, guys.
Too late.
That's metaphorical right there. Light at the end of the tunnel because the movie shot so dark.
I know, right?
Okay, so that's it. It sucks. Next.
All right, I'll go next so Jova can close us off. I'm pretty much with Pedro. This is boring. Like, really, really boring. I will say this. I'm not sure I would call it a bad MCU movie. Not in the sense that it's a good one, because it's not. Still extremely boring. But compared to this, to the lowest points of the MCU, like say Iron Man 2, or some moments where the humor may go too far, for some, in a sense of jokes taking too long to actually hit, this would be more serviceable if it wasn't, but it's not entertaining in the slightest. The action scenes are just a snooze fest. The character interaction are you're so not caring, and that's a problem because, according to what Fading said also about the dedication that the director put in replicating the panel of the comic.
Actually, that was me who said that.
Sorry, my bad, Jova. But the point is, some dedication happened in making of this movie, but unfortunately the mix just didn't work because it was mixed with really bad stuff. And due to the situation that Universal and Disney now are clashing in, a lot of the stuff, basically 90% of the stuff of this movie it's just throwing in the bin. You don't even care, so why should you? Like, I'm genuinely surprised that Disney still wanted to take this movie for canon, because I'm not sure Universal wanted, considering everything. Because if they really wanted this movie to still be considered canon on their own, they say it would be okay. They would have allowed Disney to use all the other materials like Betty, Abomination, Stearns, etc. But they didn't. In fact, the only thing that came out from this movie are the backstory of the character of Hulk, General Ross, the cameo obviously with Iron Man at the end, even though, as Palin pointed out, it doesn't really make sense matching the chronology. And I guess the allowing for using of Talbot, which ended up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Still, otherwise we don't have Rick Jones, so we don't have She-Hulk, we don't have the Red She-Hulk or Red Hulk for the matter. The best thing we got with Hulk is, well, Thor Ragnarok, which includes a part of one of the most brilliant stories of all, Planet Hulk, which is a shame, also, to be honest.
But my guess is the reason they still kind of keep it as canon is so they can continue to put Hulk in the movies.
I thought about that, but like I said, it does feel as if Universal itself doesn't want to remember this movie, because I'm guessing if they wanted, they would have allowed more creative freedom for Marvel to use from this movie to use. But so far, the only other thing that returned was General Ross. And even then, if you remember when Civil War came out, everyone was taken by surprise because they didn't thought sorry, that General Ross would have come back, especially played again by William Hurt.
Not only
so
that,
there is
he's a
some
different
knowledge in continuity and everything. So yes, Hayden?
I'd like to say that I'm guessing the reason why this movie is still considered canon is that Disney kind of has no choice.
Yeah,
because the moment, like, once they start implementing Stark, roll with the punches. Because keep in mind, like, while we are like people who are heavily invested in these movies, and we look at all the details, keep in mind that these movies are made to appeal to a general audience. People will be confused if we see things like Stark shows up here, and all of a sudden this is no longer canon. This is similar to stories that I've heard of people, going into Four Stick and thinking this was a part of the MCU. It's better to stay as streamlined as possible, but make sure to ignore as much as you can. The bare minimum.
Yeah.
I suppose, I guess. But anyway, talking about this movie as it standalone for a second, like I said, the actor performances are just
hokey,
awful. Like like I said, I don't really have a high opinion on Liv Tyler. Like, I thought she was okay as Arwen, regardless of how Peter Jackson used her. But aside from that, I generally don't think she's a good actress. Edward Norton is just completely wasted as Dr. Banner. Doesn't fit at all with the idea of his role.
Well, that's his fault. He wrote this thing.
That too. William Hurt as Ross, Talbot Ross, General Ross. It's just yes and no. The appearance may be a bit more spot on, but it's William Hurt. It's not used for a role like General Ross, and it even shows in the future, because in his roles in Civil War and Infinity War, he's not still yelling. He's a bit more dickish, sinister persona, kind of like how he is in this movie when you think about it. So
again, Sam Elliott was perfectly willing to come back. But
I mean, Sam Elliott is perfectly casting for his mustache. She's so perfect that fits the role.
I know. So, Sam Elliott was the perfect
funny?
casting.
Yes, Hayden?
Yeah. So what's funny? Lou Ferrigno is the movie.
And Stan Lee. But the only
they both came back from previous movies because both were in Hulk 2003. But Lou Ferrigno is the most versatile. He got to play security guard and he got to play Hulk.
True. Come to think of it, this is one of the cameos, one of the most mean-spirited cameos of Stan Lee. They made his character die. Like,
yeah,
it's
like
fuck,
it's definitely one of my less favorite Stan Lee cameos. Like, again, why not?
Like, obviously it's not good in like hindsight.
True, but if I had to say now, I think I take back the opinion that I had on Infinity War in terms of that. That cameo, for as much as quote-unquote disappointing may have been, it's still way better than this one. So props for that.
For me, I like this one better simply because the Stan Lee wow, like just that one, just the delivery of that, I just found that fun. while I did find the Infinity War one.
But anyway, to finish quickly, the music is barely existence. I don't even know what kind of soundtrack they're selling on Amazon because honestly, what the fuck? The cinematography is just doesn't really convinces me. I'm usually more tolerant towards CGI, but there are some scenes that are clearly made in front of a green screen, and it shows. Like I said, it was a period of transition for CGI, so it has kind of the uncanny valley effect to it. But it's also for the design, they completely got Abomination wrong. Like, seriously, guys, were the things really that hard to animate or anything? Or you thought they were too silly? Like, I can understand if it's something like, the Vulture's costume looks too ridiculous, or Electro say, it looks too ridiculous to be put in this media, we kind of have to change it. But aside from the lack of things, Abomination is 1-to-1. So, what happened?
Hey, at least it's not as bad as making Galactus a cloud. Anyway, but yeah. Bottom line, this movie is boring and bad. Just do what Pedro said. Just watch the stuff that you need on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's at least one video that compiles everything that you need to know.
If you want a good accessible thing where you can watch all the stuff that Theo just mentioned, the She-Hulk, Rick Jones, all that stuff. Watch the '90s cartoon, because the '90s cartoon is a fairly good adaptation that stays faithful to the comics for the most part.
It's pretty much the case of most '90s animated shows. The more I think about it,
but MCU-wise, like I said, just stick to the basic information that you need if you really need to catch up. Say if you want to do a marathon or anything. Anyway, I'm done. Jova.
Allow me to open this up. Well, okay. Well, I guess there's one good thing about this movie, guys. It's made me all the more excited for Endgame.
Yeah.
To wash away the memories of this.
You have no idea, Jova. You have no idea.
I'm only 2 days away. I need to stay away from as many spoilers as possible. I'm so close.
I can tell you this, Jova. The Hulk is much better used in that movie than this one.
Without a doubt. Also, he's even got a shirt in that one, apparently.
Yeah, let's just say we finally got to that point, Jova, where they're together, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, a bit of fun facts about this film. Hey, Tio, Rick Jones actually was almost in this movie.
Well, he's in the video game, so I'm guessing it was in an earlier draft of the
Tio,
movie.
He was in the original draft of this movie, but he ended up getting removed when Norton rewrote the script.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
He's so close, but nope, Norton said no. Oh, here's another thing. You know what? Hey, about Glenn Talbot, he was actually going to be in an earlier draft of this movie, which was originally going to be a sequel to the 2003 film. And guess what? Glenn Talbot would have been a composite character along with the Abomination. Marvel really likes to make Glenn Talbot all these different characters, don't they?
Have I mentioned that I don't like Edward Norton?
I can't blame you. But here's another thing, though. There was going to be an alternate opening for this film, which actually got referenced in Avengers. The scene where Bruce Banner's in the Arctic and tries to kill himself, but ends up hulking out as a self-defense mechanism.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. True. That was in the video game.
I tried to kill myself, but the big guy spit it out.
Yeah, that actually was in the video game, but it was a deleted scene in the film, and it's actually one of the better scenes. Go figure.
Yeah, if that scene was kept, I think that would have made things a little more effective.
Oh, you want
to at least give the movie at least a bit more of a theme.
Oh, you want to know the real kicker though? During that Arctic scene would have been where we get the first glimpse of Captain America's frozen body.
Yay! I feel even more hurt.
Can you believe that? So when you think about it, guys, this one was supposed to be originally what Iron Man 2 would eventually set out to be.
Bridging out things.
Yeah, go figure. But yeah.
I kind of wish I was watching First Avenger right now.
And one more.
Isn't that the next in the list? Or is Iron Man 2?
Iron Man 2, then 4, 1, and then First Avenger.
Oh, man.
Okay, one more fun fact. You know the guy, the computer geek that Bruce manages to bribe with some pizza? Seriously, Tio, good job making the ultimate world connection via pizza. Yeah, Martin Starr, he'll later go on to play a teacher in Spider-Man Homecoming. So, I guess this means that professor would later go on to move there, after Bruce Banner got plastic surgery twice, and General Ross would eventually go on to be the Ghost Rider, who would outrun the devil in Ghost Rider. Confused much?
Anyway, continue, Joe.
Now I know what general audiences feel.
Goody. This movie. Okay, this movie is an abomination of sorts. Yeah, obvious pun be obvious, but like, it's a mismatch. It's a Frankenstein of whether or not it wants to be a sequel, whether or not it wants to be a reboot, and the bits that actually get recognized later in the MCU. I'm sorry, William Hurt was just a baffling pick as Thunderbolt Ross, especially when you have the already much better fitting Sam Elliott willing to come back. What did anyone see in William Hurt? Oh, wait, that's right, because they wanted to make Thunderbolt Ross more villainistic. Okay.
They wanted to, remember, Jova, my fear is that they wanted him to be General Riker, but like Theo said, Ross is more iconic, so let's just make him Ross. No questions will be asked, for sure.
Except a lot of questions were asked, because holy cow, you managed to screw up one of the easiest characters ever to make. Goodness gracious. They screwed up the Abomination in a sense, even though they clearly had something going with him. They screwed up Betty Ross. Though, how much that has to do with the writing and how much that has to do with the actress? Both equally bad. It's like, man, I've forgotten how annoying Liv Tyler was. Like, at this point, I'm like, I'll take Jennifer Connelly over this. Not that that's saying much. It's weird, because the Ang Lee Hulk movie is surprisingly the more memorable one, the more I think about it. It's bad, but Lord knows it has more fun stuff in it.
It's at the very least an interesting failure made by an actual talented filmmaker who, aside from that Hulk movie, has made plenty of great movies.
Whereas this
Like
movie
we said about Venom.
Yeah, true. Whereas this movie
Like,
just
not to the same extent as Venom, but still.
Yeah.
This is an interesting failure. The Hulk 2003 is an interesting failure. This is not. This is a boring failure.
Hulk 2003 is like that one time when that high-scoring student ends up doing badly, but they gave it their all. Hulk 2008 is like that slacker who's only recognized because, hey, I'm a part of the MCU, technically.
Hey, look, I'm not like the 2003 movie. See how unlike the 2003 movie I am?
Yeah. And
Another analogy for that. I have another analogy for 2003 versus that. Like, imagine the both Hulk movies essentially being like a sports team.
Yeah.
Hulk 2003 is the one guy who's like playing, let's say, that's playing a sport. He's constantly fumbling. He looks absolutely ridiculous, but you can't help but look at him.
So the underdog.
While 2008 Hulk is like that, is the one player that can't get a goal, that can't like score any points, but he's being competent, like he's not like fumbling around like the other guy, but you can't help but look at him.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like this.
Better seeing a train wreck than seeing something that's practically invisible.
Yeah, I know, and that, this movie should have called itself The Invisible Hulk rather than The Incredible Hulk, because
Yeah.
there was very little incredible about this movie. Like,
They would have to commentate the Amazing Bulk.
The boring Hulk.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good point, Phelan. I'll even take The Incredible Bulk, the Asylum ripoff of this
I hate
over this.
dust. I don't want them building up in my home.
When Bruce Banner gets angry, he becomes...
An army of dust bunnies planning to take over.
When Bruce Banner becomes hungry, he becomes...
When Bruce Banner becomes angry, his boring levels increase.
Oh, wow.
See, if he gets boring, does that mean he technically gets smaller? He gets smaller and smaller and more insignificant the angrier he becomes?
Huh,
Yes,
maybe.
why not?
He's like an internet troll.
Anyway,
Hulk lurks under the bridge or in that cave.
Anyway, but yeah, this is a movie that tries to make promises that it cannot keep, but as Amazing Spider-Man would say, but those are the best ones. No, they aren't, you idiot.
Those are the best kind.
No, they aren't, you fool. Like, seriously, as this movie shows, when you make promises you can't keep, you just end up disappointing somebody, and not in a good way, because...
Just leave Gwen out of it.
So when is disappointing someone a good thing?
Apparently someone...
Subverting your expectations, am I right?
This movie, again, it's so boring that I can't even really think of much else to say. The music was... Okay, the music was the least offensive thing. And even so, that's just because it gets along as being atmospheric at best. Okay, there are some funny bits, but that's the thing. They're bits. That's what I watch YouTube videos for. Stuff that compiles the best bits.
You might as well watch cat
Incredible Hulk is a
videos.
meme. It's just the small bits.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was Incredible Hulk. I'm
It
already
sucks.
forgetting
Moving
it.
on.
So yeah, don't worry, guys.
MCU-wise, the next one, as Pedro mentioned, should be Iron Man 2. Yay!
Oh.
I
was
wonder,
gonna say that-
Paley, will you be sticking around for some of our other MCU movies?
Sorry.
Will you be willing to stick around for commentating with us with some other MCU movies someday?
Yeah, of course. I don't mind. I do have I have the Phase 1 box set. That's how I'm able to have the Blu-ray. So I'm at least able to stick around for all of Phase 1.
That's
Sweet.
So,
nice.
for example, I can do Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
I can do Thor. I can do those other movies.
Sweetness.
So
Iron Man 2, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, so we'll see you
Shiro,
for...
if you want to face danger, might as well do it in good company. So see you for that, I guess.
Yeah, fair
See you
enough.
for that.
Yeah.
See you for Iron Man 2, because we're going out of the dull pan, and then we're going right back into the frying pan of badness.
Right.
See you.